What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Warski Live. I have a new setup. It's still in alpha phase. We're getting the light fixture fixed as well. But this is part one. But of course, joining me Warski Live is I have a new setup. It's still in alpha.
Hello, Andy. I'm sorry. I'm totally destabilized by your. I think we're the only show that gets worse with time visually.
What? What? You think it's worse?
I mean, I don't know what's happening here. You look like you have an 8-bit background that just bugged, and then everything became black.
Yeah, well, that's supposed to light up, but then when I turned it on, it overexposes everything and mess. So I have to get a friggin' dimmer installed.
Yeah,
believe me, it's
right.
It's been a hectic day for me.
Indeed, today we have a great debate on the way. However, before, I'd like to hear Mike Enoch on the case of the lawsuit against you. I think it's an important issue regarding free speech, and I'd like to hear what's happening with this.
Yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity. I know we have a big audience here, and I just want to make an appeal. I know my politics are controversial, and this goes beyond my individual politics or the politics of the people that attended the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville this summer. There's a lawsuit against us that is essentially an attack on the First Amendment and free speech and internet privacy as well. So these they're very powerful and wealthy lawyers that have taken this case and they have attempted to allege some kind of broad-based conspiracy, but in fact, as they have admitted, if you look at press reports about this lawsuit, there was something in the New York Times yesterday, there have been various reports on it, they are essentially admitting that they are attempting to use the court to shut down the alt-right, to shut down political opposition. The New York Times article yesterday has the lead attorney in the case, Roberta Kaplan, who is a very wealthy and powerful Jewish lesbian who has is attempting to shut down the alt-right by her own admission. This is a strategic lawsuit, quote of her, this is a strategic lawsuit. Integrity First for America, which is the group funding the lawsuit, which is a group of about 12 very wealthy Jewish lawyers, are admitted that this is a political lawsuit because the government has not done enough to silence the alt-right. This is in the New York Times. They've admitted all of these things. Basically, they are admitting they do not have a case before the court. And this is purely an attempt to intimidate and silence the defendants. And it goes beyond us. You might say, all right, well, tough luck. You went up against the wrong people, but it goes beyond us. As part of this process, there's a subpoena issued to Twitter. Twitter is a third party. They want information on people that tweeted certain hashtags. They want all personal identifiable information, including email address, IP address, MAC address for people that may have tweeted certain hashtags. Unite the Right, Free Cantwell, among others. Now, again, you might think, I don't care about these guys. They did something dumb. They went up against the most powerful group of people in the world, and that's stupid. Maybe so. But if it's us first, it's going to be you next. We're out here running cover for you for free speech. And I think we need to get campus free speech groups, the ACLU, any pro First Amendment group, any pro electronic privacy group, because there is no reason why a person that tweeted out a certain hashtag would add to their case. Like they are alleging something that's non-existent. They don't have a valid cause of action before the court, and they know it. So if they get these subpoenas granted, that's all that they want. So this is a case of electronic privacy, your right to privacy on the internet, your right to free speech, and this is what these people are attempting to squash. And I think it's really very important that everybody gets behind, one, in condemning the lawsuit, exposing the lawsuit as it is. And I'm not asking you to support us. I understand that's a step that many people don't want to take. I simply want you to support the principles of electronic privacy, anonymity on the internet, the right to use Twitter without being subjected to potential political witch hunts based on hashtags that you might tweet, and frankly, the right of anybody to speak their mind without suffering this kind of lawfare. It's important to note there is no criminal complaint. This is a civil complaint. JF, I know you've talked about the abuse of civil courts before. There's no criminal complaint here. It's a civil complaint. Why? Because the standard of evidence for a criminal complaint is much higher. They don't expect to win this case. They merely want to use the case as a vehicle to get as much information on as many users of the internet as they can. And I know that amongst those people that have tweeted the hashtags that they're looking for are people that are not alt-right, people that might be pro-Trump, people that might be critical of Israel. These are very serious First Amendment issues. They cut to the heart of our rights as Americans. And I think every decent, freedom-loving American of any race, of any political affiliation needs to come out against this website, call it for what it is, understand what's going on, and we need to light a fire under the butts of all the free speech organizations and electronic privacy organizations to come out against this. That's
I fully support you. It's indeed a very worrying story. And in fact, it's part of a tendency to use civil courts as instruments of abuse and instruments of quasi-police investigation. Exactly. When you cannot get the police to investigate because there's nothing to investigate, people are increasingly using in our country the civil courts as a bypassing of the law, and in fact it makes private agents and judges of civil courts in this country essentially police investigator, judges at the same time, and agents of the state. It's absolutely worrying, and I fully support you in that.
Yeah, and it's honestly, in my opinion, it's an insult to the integrity of the court. I mean, these people are basically saying we don't respect this court. We don't respect this court as a means for citizens to redress damages against each other. We use this as a court is nothing but a political vehicle. It's just a tool. We just want to use subpoena power to get information on our enemies. We don't care that we're going to win. They know they're not going to win. I mean, they have no complaint. The complaint they're making is emotional distress. That's been struck down many times. Anyway, well, let's move on.
So your message has been put forward. Indeed, today we have an amazing debate.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been expecting with as much excitement as me?
Oh yeah, a Valentine's Day massacre. Is that what we dubbed this?
Yes. Tell your girlfriend it might be the last.
Can I make a quick comment on the lawsuit?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
There's one thing that I don't seem to understand about why we would want to fight against this lawsuit. And just so you know, I think that an attack on free speech is something that should be defended. I would donate to the group fighting against the lawsuit myself.
I'm not asking for money. I'm just asking.
No, I'm not putting words in your mouth. Don't worry. We'll have plenty to
yeah, you'll put words in my mouth later. I get it.
We'll have plenty to disagree on later. Okay. What I'm saying is that a court case cuts both ways, and everything they can subpoena, we can subpoena as well. And anybody can subpoena the government's decision-making process, the police records, the orders from Terry McAuliffe. If anything, I would think this is going to turn out more like the Mueller lawsuit. It's going to turn out that they want Twitter names of people who nobody gives a shit about, when at the same time we could get information about people that actually we do give a shit about. So I don't think that it's such a bad thing that the lawsuit is going forward. I just think it has to be played right, and it can be actually a very good thing for our side.
Fair enough. I actually appreciate your sentiments there, and I would say that we have not proceeded to trial. There are motions before the court to dismiss the case for all defendants based on the failure of the plaintiffs to state a valid cause of action. I am not issuing subpoenas right now because to do so would be to start a defense. And all my arguments before the court, I have several motions pending, one of which is to dismiss the case based on, there's no valid cause of action, and two is to quash their subpoenas, and another is to stay their discovery. So basically, because the problem with that is, though, that, as I said, like, they have no expectation of winning. For them, going to trial and getting these subpoenas is victory enough. Like, they don't think they're going to win. They can't possibly win. There's no credible allegations. It's that if they get it to go to trial and they are allowed these subpoenas go forward, then they get information they want. And we all know that the reason that they want this information, the reason they want people that tweet certain hashtags, it cannot possibly add to their case. They just want it to target people. They want to target people for harassment. And this involves everybody that uses Twitter potentially. So that's what they're hoping for, which is why we hope the case just gets dismissed. I mean, I expect the judge to have integrity. I mean, this is a judge that ruled, this is a court that ruled that the rally, which was a permitted legal rally, had to go forward because to cancel it violated our First Amendment rights. And so I expect the judge to be honorable, to uphold the constitutional rights of citizens, and simply dismiss the suit, in which case this is all moot. I agree, if it goes forward, I will be issuing subpoenas, believe me, if it goes forward, because I will try to see if I could subpoena records that indicate that this is a conspiracy to deny civil rights.
How do people support? People are asking in the chat. Is there a link or something?
For right now, I mean, I want people. What I want people to do is to contact the ACLU, to contact FIRE, to contact the Electronic Freedom Foundation, EFF, Electronic. I forget what exactly that. Internet privacy orgs. Yeah, EFF. I want you to contact all of these organizations and talk about the suit. Show the New York Times article. And just mention to them what is going on. Right now, I'm not asking for any money. Some of the other defendants might ask for money. If they do, I will put it up on my Twitter. Right now, I'm going pro se. Some of the other defendants have lawyers. If people want, if people set up donations for lawyers or something, I'll put that on my Twitter and people can check there. As of right now, it's not money. We want moral support. We want the moral support of the community. And I think that not asking for money helps in that, because what we want is everybody across the right, whatever their view is, and it doesn't have to be alt-right, whether you're alt-right, new right, just pro-Trump, neocon maybe even, to just say, like, the values of free speech and internet privacy are at risk here. And that's what these people want. I mean, these people are hardcore leftists that now they're coming after us because we're a relatively easy target. They don't think people should be allowed to support Trump. They don't think Trump is a legitimate president. They want him unseated. They want him gone. And, when he is gone, because he's not going to be president forever, these people are going to be back in power, and it's going to be a scary time. So we got to fight now. We got to show them now. We can be united. We can be strong, fighting for our rights as Americans. And Canadians, look, you guys have an interest in us fighting for our rights too.
Yeah.
Respect to you for going pro se. It's the right way to go in this environment, in this legal environment. Make it costly for them to maintain this lawsuit, and make it not costly for you, and know your rights. I encourage everyone to do the same. And it would be a scandal if this was not dismissed.
As I said, I disagree with that one.
Well, okay, but okay, I don't want to fight about this. I want to just talk. So I'm curious, like, you agree? I mean, you agree that you disagree that it would be a scandal if it wasn't dismissed on the basis that we would get subpoena power and be able to use it against them?
I disagree that. I agree that the best outcome of a lawsuit is a determination of fact, and I think that them asking for records and subpoenaing records right now and a judge just dismissing it keeps the idea open that this can be used as many times in the future until they find a judge where it's more favorable and there's no precedent. I would much rather let them know that every single time they come out of free speech movement with a lawsuit, that it's not only going to cost them a fortune, but they're going to suffer because of it, because the people who are going to be exposed are the ones behind the bullshit lawsuit and not the ones who they're trying to out as being nasty on Twitter or something stupid like that, which I don't think you particularly care about, being outed about being nasty on Twitter. Neither do 90% of the people that are doing it. Yes, I think it's a travesty that they're asking, but I think dismissing it just leaves them vulnerable to fight another day. But if they have to pay a heavy price, I don't think they'll do it again.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
The danger there is, though, that they legitimately don't have a valid cause of action before the court. And I think that high standards, we need to maintain the high standards of the law in terms of what constitutes a valid cause of action. And essentially, letting this case go forward would set a precedent that essentially you can sort of sue people, not make any allegations against them other than, bare recitals of a cause. Like, this guy harmed me. And then once you get a case before the court, now you have subpoena power and you can, like, ask for whatever you want. And I think, I think a lot of people maybe don't care if it comes out that they were nasty on Twitter or not. It's not so much nasty. It's like, you have to understand that the alt-right has legitimately been subjected to doxing and harassment based on nothing but their views. Peaceful people that attended Unite the Right and peaceful people that have used Twitter and have supported the alt-right have been doxxed, have been harassed. They've lost their jobs, and there's not much they can do. So if someone has been tweeting out "Unite the Right," "Free Cantwell," these are some of the hashtags they're going after, and their personal information is released. Now, a couple of things could happen. Nothing could happen, or ultimately, what is likely to happen is these lawyers leak it to the SPLC. They leak it to the ADL. These are groups that are set up to harass people. So I think it should be dismissed based on the principles of law, because in principles of law, there's no valid cause of action.
But the principle of law of the Constitution is just that any case with a monetary value above $17 has the right to be redressed by a court. So the bar is already exceptionally low as set by the Constitution. So
I mean, I don't know about that, but I mean, you might be right. I'm not. That sounds a little bit. All right.
Here's the problem, in my view, about contouring on trials when the allegations are improper. The mechanism of motion to dismiss exists because lawsuits can have a chilling effect on freedom of speech. And especially when freedom of speech is concerned, it's important not to let a lawsuit itself be a tool of aggression.
JF, I agree with you, but that's kind of what I was saying, is that I think that dismissing it leaves this open to keep happening over and over again, because it doesn't cost so much to get that far, and they don't get so embarrassed by it being dismissed. But a determination of law or proving that it can hurt them,
this being dismissed,
I think would be a much bigger win. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Now, I don't know what you guys wanted to talk about today, but I think that there have been some claim by Halsey that the alt-right seems to be rooted in anti-Semitism. And whether you guys like this subject or not as a main subject, maybe I'll throw the conversation on that point. Mike, is your membership in the alt-right, and you mentioned that one of the ladies involved in this is a lesbian Jew, is your involvement in the alt-right to you rooted in anti-Semitism?
I don't know about rooted, but I would say that, first of all, I think anti-Semitism is a loaded term. I mean, we use the term Jewish question. I think one of the factors in the alt-right, one of the points that we kind of revolve around, is a critique of Jewish community power. And we believe that this is a valid critique, a critique that needs to be made, and one that is typically, not something that is talked about in public. Nobody, you bring this up and you are immediately slapped down, literally in the case of a slap lawsuit when it comes to this case. And it's a valid thing to talk about, this critique of Jewish community power and how this is detrimental to those people who have a large and powerful Jewish community at the upper echelons of their society.
So in a free society, when you have people that seem to have an over dramatic sense of power, then what would your solution be to that sense of power, other than limiting free speech or limiting their ability to influence the government?
What do you mean by sense of power? Like, that they sense it themselves, or that it exists?
No, what I'm saying is that if it exists, if you're saying that the Jewish lobby has an overextended sense of power, meaning that they can influence things in a way that other communities can't, then how do you suggest changing that in a way that isn't authoritarian, that does not attack their free speech, or does not make...
Well, I don't see why I'm obligated. Why am I obligated to allow an ethnic group to have a bunch of power over me?
Why am I obligated to allow you to free speech, then? It's called the Constitution. It's called the right. It's called the right to actually go out and express your views and to try to do everything in your power to advance your causes. If you don't believe in that, then I don't even know what you'd be doing here in the first place.
I mean, what? Okay, but I mean, the people that are attacking free speech are these very people. These people obviously are not invested in the concept of free speech.
I mean, you're arguing free speech.
Okay, you want to argue from a very broad, theoretical, abstract place. I'm talking about the specifics. The specifics of this is that one of the critiques of Jewish power is that Jews do not respect free speech. They, in fact, attack it. They attack it legally. They attack it monetarily, financially, politically, everything, as we are seeing in this very lawsuit. So the critique of Jewish power is the attack on free expression itself. So the idea that, like, that's a valid reason for me to accept their power just doesn't even work.
I didn't say that you should accept their power. I didn't say that at all. Nor did I say that their positions were valid. What I said was how do you plan to limit that power in a way that is not authoritarian and that does not...
Why am I obligated to not be authoritarian?
Let me finish what I'm saying, please.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that you're advocating that these are the people that are against free speech. These are the people that are doing this and doing that. But at the same time, you want to have the power to use those same rights against them to limit their power. So what I'm saying is, how do you limit their power of free speech when you find it a detriment, if you're saying them trying to limit your free speech?
But it's not free speech. They're not using power of free speech against me. They're using financial money power and the ability to influence and bully people politically in order to infringe my rights. If there's a group doing this, if a group doesn't respect my rights, I'm under no obligation to respect theirs.
But I'm saying, you just said they're using their money to try to bully you and to try to make you do whatever. So why can't you use your money to do the same back?
I can.
Exactly. So in a free society, I don't understand what the argument is. They have too much influence.
I'm not obligated to respect the free speech rights of someone that doesn't respect it for me. That would just make me a chump.
No, you're not obligated to do hardly anything, Mike. There's been many times where you've come out and you've said things, or you've promoted people, or you've promoted ideas that I would find disgusting and that I would want to fight against. Hence why I asked for a debate that I can actually discuss these ideas with you. And I haven't limited your free speech. I haven't told you that you're not allowed to say it. I'm saying that if the Jewish lobby has a limit of has an extension of power that you disagree with, the way to fight that power is through the exact rights that you claim that they're opposed to. If you're not going to,
well, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't be opposed to them.
But what I'm saying, though, is that if they're trying something that's not within the system and you can't use the system against them, like I said with the lawsuit, then that's one thing. That's when violence gets resorted to. If you can't use the system as it's designed to limit the power of those that are using the system as well, then you have a problem. But if you can and have the open ability to do so and just don't have the actual reach to do it, then I would be interested in hearing what your solution is, as opposed to more free speech.
Well, if I have the reach, I have the reach. It doesn't really matter. I mean, essentially, I guess I'm a little bit confused here with what your question is, because we are fighting for free speech.
Because what you're doing is you're pointing something out and you're hoping that everybody will draw a conclusion based on that you're pointing out an overreaching fact. You're saying the Jewish lobby is too powerful. That's fine. What would be needed to counter that lobby in any sense of a free society's way is to organize to combat that power and to use the same resources that you have against them that you claim that they're using against you. In a battle of free ideas, that's how it works. If not, then you're talking about a system that's going to resort to violence. And that can be something I noticed.
You just roboted out. You just
repeat that last line.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. What I'm saying is that you're advocating a point that the Jewish lobby is too strong. That's fine. It can be a valid point. I think the Jewish lobby has done more harm to Jewish people than it has to other people. So I don't have a complaint against fighting against the Jewish lobby. What I'm claiming is that you're not offering any solution other than to point out a problem, and that you're hoping that the solution aspect of the argument is something that people will just ignore by pointing out that there's an actual problem.
But you agree that there is a problem?
So there's a problem.
I definitely
you agree there's a problem. All right, then we're on the same page.
But I've said that all along. I agree there's a problem. I said in the last debate, I've said on my show many times, the left is a problem for me in general, overreaching 100%. Notice that when Mike said that there's a lawsuit that's going after free speech, I said our side. I'm not on the alt-right. I don't agree with you politically on almost anything you say. But at the same time, our side is the side of freedom. And our side is the side of debate. And our side is the side of free speech. That is our side. And I would fight against the Jewish lobby the same as I would the Christian lobby or the Black lobby or the Muslim lobby or any other lobby, period, to stop them from denying rights to you or me or anybody else. But just to point out that there's a lot of Jews on that lobby, I believe isn't an argument. It's pointing something out without any kind of solution and hoping that seems like a point.
Oh, well, I just would say this, that I think embedded in what you're saying there is some sort of premise that I owe the extension of certain principles to people that don't respect those principles and attack and undermine my own rights. I don't owe rights to the Jewish lobby.
That's true, but they don't owe rights to you too. You can't sit here on the other side of the coin and say, oh my God, they're coming after me. This sucks so bad. When at the same time, you're saying, I deny their right to do it because after all, they suck too. So if you're going to say,
but I don't have any power to deny them rights.
Why not? You have a microphone sitting right in front of you. You're on YouTube.
No one denies rights through a microphone. You deny rights through the use of institutional, financial, and political power, which is what they're doing. And you are asking me. You are asking me to respect their right to violate me.
Why are you getting so upset?
There's no reason to do that.
Mike, calm down, man. There's no reason to get so upset. What I'm saying is that you have the right to use, as I said with the lawsuit.
Have I done anything other than free speech? Have I done anything?
I said that you have the right to use the same resources against them. And in fact, it would probably be a stronger argument to do so than to just say, I want this to go away. But you're sitting here arguing and yelling about the fact that you deny rights to an individual.
I deny. Who am I denying rights to?
No, you said that they're being denied to you. And I don't understand what rights you're talking about are being denied to you. They might be trying to, which, as I said, you can fight against. That's why we have a system. But you're arguing, no, they suck. Therefore, I have the right to do whatever the hell I want, which doesn't work.
It's not that they suck. There's a systematic degradation of the rights of Americans as this group of people has come to power.
And as I said,
fundamentally, there's a faulty premise that you're working with, which is that a principle is a principle if one side respects it and the other doesn't. If there's a principle of free speech, all parties have to agree to this principle. The Jewish power in America does not agree to the principle. Therefore, as far as I'm concerned, they forfeit that right.
And as I just mentioned before, there's also another amendment to the Constitution which says you have the right to address any action in court that has a harm above $17.
It's not just about
it says it clearly. So they're exercising their right to do whatever they want. A judge will determine whether they're attacking your free speech or not, or whether you did something above and beyond.
Let me ask you this. Say the judge in this case was Jewish. Mm-hmm. You think that would affect the outcome?
I would not have a problem with someone recusing themselves from the case if he was Jewish, as to not taint the results.
Do you think it would affect the outcome? Do you think it would affect the outcome if the judge in the case was Jewish?
I don't know the judge. So
do you think that judge might have a
I would not say him being Jewish would give him an innate bias, but I would not have a problem with him recusing himself for that reason.
So, Mike, I'd like to ask you a question. To clarify your position, if the Jewish lobby existed and controlled CNN the way it does right now, but let's forget about the acts of aggression, let's forget about the lawsuit, let's forget about the lies, about the defamation, about the false information. Do you think that the Jewish lobby in itself, through its legitimate economic power, is a problem and is a violation of First Amendment rights?
I don't consider their power legitimate.
Okay, so just the existence of that lobby in itself, you would consider it an act of aggression or a violation?
I don't see why any group of people should suffer a foreign, highly ethnocentric group of people with a lot of money and power at the top of its society, no matter who they were. I don't think people should be ruled by others.
So that's my point. You have just said again, you believe that those Americans should be denied their rights in favor of you, who are an American and have existential rights that are higher above than anybody else's rights. And you say that their lobby in and of itself is illegitimate because they're foreigners, when I don't recall you being born at Plymouth Rock. I don't recall that you fighting in the War of Independence. I recall my family doing so. I don't recall yours.
You recall it?
Yeah, I've heard the stories, I've seen the pictures, and I have the genealogy to prove it. So if you want to tell me that all of a sudden your rights as an American mean that you can deny other people's rights as an American because you don't like their opinions, then I don't understand what your argument is.
It's not the issue of opinions. It's not the issue of opinions.
What is it then?
It's the issue of their overwhelming political, financial power that they use to lobby the government, to control the courts, to control the legal system, to deny Americans their rights, to lobby for things that are against the interests of Americans, particularly white Americans. They've used their disproportionate influence in all number of spheres to disenfranchise whites and to harm their interests. And I see no reason why, when one of their attacks is the attacks on our fundamental rights it was set up by a white government, and at the time that these rights were put in place, the government was white, and it was specifically restricted to whites. Immigration to this country, naturalization to this country was a specifically whites only thing. This is a white system. It was set up for free white men, and for another group to come in to disrespect the rights, to gain a lot of power through money, through finances, through media, through politics, attack these rights, attack Americans that fight for them. I mean, this is exactly proving the case of why the government was set up as whites only in the beginning.
So
I'm sorry. White people who are under attack from a very powerful, very wealthy group are required to respect their rights when they don't respect mine. That is like saying that like an ant is required to respect the rights of a person to just like step on him. I mean, that is silly. Like you're just saying, like you're essentially trying to hamstring me in the ability to pursue my own interests and the interests of my group with like a bunch of principles that the people that are attacking us don't themselves agree to. It's like if you do free trade as a principle, but then China puts up a tariff wall, you're just going to get screwed.
Okay, now, is it my turn now? Because there's so much in that statement that I just found awesome. Is that you said it was set up by all whites, but there were plenty of Jews in America at the time that were given full rights. Chaim Solomon funded the Revolutionary War. There's Jewish signers on the Declaration of Independence. So if you're now saying that at the time Jews were not considered whites, then you're just making a misstatement of fact. At the time, there were plenty of Jews in America, and until 65, when this major immigration bill was passed, Jewish immigration was allowed. So there was never a restriction on Jewish power in the United States, nor a restriction.
No, it was an oversight, unfortunately.
It was an oversight. Okay, but then you just said, we're not talking about opinions, and just went on to say they're doing things into the detriment of white people. They're doing things this. Those are your opinions. In fact, there are opinions that a majority of white people would disagree with. So if the majority of white people disagree with you, and the majority of Jewish people disagree with you, and the majority of black people and Hispanic people and every other people disagree with you, then how is it not an opinion that what you want is in the interest of all white people when almost everybody universally disagrees with you except for the very small people that listen to you?
So what are you saying? I shouldn't express my opinion because there's people that disagree with me?
You just said it wasn't an opinion. You said it was a fact. You said it has nothing to do with
Jewish power is a fact. You yourself acknowledge it.
I very much acknowledge it.
The fact that a lot of people are afraid of it. The fact that a lot of people are afraid of it won't speak up about it. Now, sure, I'm sure there's people that disagree, people that don't see it, people that haven't been awakened to it, people that don't know what's going on. Sure, fine. The fact that people, I mean, I'm not sure what you're saying. I shouldn't say anything about it because
I have never once said that. What I keep saying is
the fact that a lot of people disagree.
Mike, what I keep saying is that every time I say that the Jewish lobby is working within the system to express their opinions,
I disagree. They're working.
Wait a minute. Let me finish. I let you finish. You keep saying they're not opinions. They're doing X, Y, and Z.
They are.
Say, I believe X, Y, and Z, and that this is what the way it should go, and then say, but those aren't opinions. Those are my opinions, and why can't I express my opinions? Why can't they express their opinions? I don't understand. Yes, I acknowledge there's a Jewish lobby. I acknowledge that they're not in for a singular purpose. What I also acknowledge is that what you seem to be upset about is that no one wants to listen to you.
No, it's not true.
Not that people are trying to restrict what you're saying.
More people listen to me than listen to you. I'm more popular than you.
I don't.
I have significantly more listeners than you do, bro.
Who keeps claiming every Jew has their part in the Jewish lobby? What I'm saying is that you keep claiming that you're speaking for white people and that you have all these things that are right, when at the same time the majority of every single race and every single color and every single religion seems to disagree with you. And you seem to be upset about that, like they're not letting you play with their toys on the playground, which is fine. But you can just acknowledge that fact as opposed to saying, no, that's not an opinion. They're doing horrible things. In your opinion?
Again, I don't know. It seems like you're just saying that any opinion that's not the majority is illegitimate somehow. Like,
how did I say it's illegitimate? I said it should be advocated for. We created.
Okay, then what's your problem?
You can advocate for it because you're saying somehow, and you refuse to answer the question, which I also find interesting. What is your solution to limit their rights to express their opinions the way they want? What
I'm saying is this: I don't see a group that is using collective financial, political, and media power to attack my people and my interests as legitimately having rights.
Have you ever heard of the trade union? Have you ever heard of the black lobby? Have you ever heard of the Muslim lobby? These are all people who you would claim are legitimately using political, financial, and other power to restrict your rights. So I'm saying if you're pointing out the problem with the Jewish people, then I don't understand why your problem with all of these people isn't a problem, including all of the white people who disagree with you.
Again, like it seems like you're just saying that because a lot of people disagree with me, there's something illegitimate about what I'm saying. I think
what you're saying is illegitimate because I think what you're saying is ridiculous and wrong. I didn't say you shouldn't have the right to say it. I think the absolute best thing you could do is get the biggest microphone with the most people listening to it on the planet. Because when people hear you, they will be way more repulsed than they are right now.
Well, that hasn't been the case. That hasn't been the case thus far. I'm certainly more popular than you are.
And you look, I don't claim to be so popular. You're the one who's saying I'm wanting to deny you rights as if I'm not popular at power. What I'm saying is that I believe that the best thing that could happen is for you to go out there and say what you want as loudly as humanly possible, because I believe in the principles of free speech, and I believe that that's why we have them. I believe when you talk, you turn people off and make people look for better solutions. I believe when you and all of your friends in the alt-right leadership come out and lie to people and make things up in order to further your own pockets, I think that when you claim Jews do it, when it comes out, it betters me. It makes me better. When David Duke goes out and raises money because he's a pauper and then has to plead guilty to fraud because he went and took and spent it all in a casino, that's good for me. When you
all right, this is interesting now. So,
you're married to a Jew and you have a black brother and you have all of these things, and then you come out and say, I am for the white race. That works for me. That does my job for me. I don't need a bigger microphone than for you to go out and prove how ridiculous you are. You and Ellie Mosley sat there and he said, I don't know what's better, an HR rep getting to fire niggers and spics all day or shooting people in Iraq. We now know one of those things wasn't true. So,
well, I didn't say any of those things. I didn't say either of those.
You cracked up about it. You had a great time with him. I heard the audio. And anybody who wants to hear it, I'll be happy to post a link later. And then the truth of it was that he couldn't have said, I think it's awesome that I was an HR rep and got to fire niggers and spics, because that sounds so ridiculous. What I'm saying is that there is a concerted effort of fraud amongst you and all of your leadership that A, you change your opinions every 15 seconds, depending on what the political winds may be. B, you get so crazy hurt and upset when people don't agree with you, even though what you're saying is usually pretty ridiculous and pretty on the fringe of what anyone else agrees. And C, that you all seem to stick up for each other, no matter what level of fraud or deceit comes out, because after all, the Jews.
Okay, I mean, I'm okay. That was a nice rant. I'm having a hard time finding like a specific complaint. So fraud. What specifically is the fraud that I have done?
The fraud that you have done?
Yeah.
You hosted a show called The Daily Shoah. Okay. You are married to a woman who goes to trans events and is Jewish, and you're sitting here hosting a show called The Daily Shoah. You didn't divorce her. That would have been a manly thing to do.
All right, hold on a second. I am fucking. These are not arguments, pal.
I didn't speak over you. Don't speak over me, please. What I'm saying is the manly thing to do, if you agreed that Jews were so horrible, is that you would have divorced her. Instead, when it came out that you were married to a Jew, she went after you. She left you. When this all came out, I've read all the articles, and you know what? Maybe none of it is true. Maybe some of it is true. Maybe all of it is true. I'm betting it's true, though, Mike. I'm betting it's true that your parents don't talk to you anymore. I'm betting it's true that your brother doesn't talk to you anymore. I'm betting it's true that your wife divorced you, and you still came out and said, look at me, I'm a white warrior. That is
so now
sad,
there
Mike.
are allegations, and I'd like to hear Mike about this.
Which allegations? I'm not hearing any. I'm hearing a lot of like attempts to impugn my character based on things he heard on the internet about my family.
He impugns my character all the time by
I have never impugned your character.
You just made a statement about Jews that is based on stuff you read on the internet. So you're sitting here saying the Jewish this, the Jewish that.
Well, look, you have a chance to prove yourself of superior character by fighting against these things, but you're not doing it.
Who says I'm not fighting against it? I literally commented on it all the time today. And you I'm attacking because you're a fraud, not because I believe that all of your ideas are invalid. I just think that you yourself are a fraud. I think you're a shock jock. And what you do is you come out and you say things that are going to piss people off because you know that people are going to let you play on the playground with them, Mike. That's why you do these things. That's why you didn't come home and say, wow, Jews are really horrible. I'm going to divorce you because you're Jewish. You waited until it came out in the press, and then she left you, and then you came out and said, yeah.
These aren't arguments. Are you going to sit here and let him do this?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
So Mike has decided that he's not interested in talking about private life, and I will say in all fairness.
Dude, I can't talk about it.
You can't talk about it, but wait a minute. I can be impugned about the fact that I'm Jewish, and you can come after me for every single thing that every single Jew has done since I don't know, 3,500 years ago, and somehow that's my problem.
You're proving my point as far as I'm concerned. You don't want to talk about ideas. You just want to engage in smears and personal attacks, which is exactly one of the complaints.
Ideas. You cannot depersonalize ideas. A fraud is a fraud. L. Ron Hubbard created Scientology. He was a fraud. So we can sit here and argue about whether Xenu really put the souls on the planet or not. But if it came from a fraud, it's the fruit of the poisonous tree. It means that if it came from shit, it is shit, most likely. And what I'm saying is you keep going, oh, God, not the personal attacks, not coming after me personally. You're the one claiming my ideas. You keep saying my opinions, my ideas. You're the one personalizing them, not me. And when I'm saying, okay, if you're going to personalize these ideas as being in the interest of white people, let's look into the person who is saying these things.
That doesn't make any sense.
You're the one who's putting
obviously you're just you're saying, oh, this guy had trouble with his wife, trouble with his family, therefore ideas.
No, I didn't say you had trouble with your wife.
Halsey,
look, you're fucking exposing yourself for kind of exactly what.
I'm very happy that you believe that. That is another great opinion of yours. This is a show where we are going to exchange our opinions. And if you feel I'm exposing myself, that's fine. That's why I wanted to come on here. I am happy to expose who
Halsey,
I am.
May I ask you a question for clarification? You're saying he's a fraud, and what particular belief or thing he has said?
Yeah, what specifically do you think I don't actually believe?
That you don't actually believe? The fact that you ran a show called The Daily Show and then your Jewish wife.
No. What do you think? What do you think that I don't actually believe?
I don't.
You think I don't actually believe in Jewish power? You think I'm just making that up?
You want me to answer the question, or do you want to give me the answer for me? I'll answer the question. I don't think you believe in anything. I think that you believe in whatever the cause that you happen to believe in for the moment is, and that's what you fight for because you like to argue. I also like to argue. I'm Jewish. It happens. But what I'm saying is you were a communist, you were a libertarian, you were a conservative, you were a Trump guy, you're a Nazi, you're an alt-righter, you're all of this. You change your extreme political views all the time. So do I believe you believe this yet, right now? Yes, I do believe you believe this right now. And I believe at the next political fad that comes on the fringe that you feel like you can latch onto, I believe you'll believe that too. I just don't believe you actually believe in any of this stuff in a means of actually promoting a solution to anything you're talking about. All you want to do is point out problems, which makes you look intelligent, which I think is a fraud. That is what I am saying. Do I mince my words?
Not really. I just don't see. I mean, I'm not seeing arguments here. It's
Look,
just,
yeah.
So, Halsey, if
Halsey,
we go to the heart of the issue, do you think, Halsey, that white nationalism?
Like this isn't this is not a question of whether I'm a fraud, though. Okay,
sure
this is we were okay. I mean, that's your agenda because again, you don't want to argue the issue. You want to attack me. That's fine.
What's the issue you want to argue? What issue haven't I ever? Okay, what
you wanted to come on to like talk about the question of Jewish power, which you already acknowledged, and you've already acknowledged that
I will talk about anything, and you'll say I believe in this, and I'm refuting what you believe in because I'm saying that you don't have the courage of your convictions. I'm saying that the person saying these things is not saying them with a level of conviction.
That's not even. That's like literally not an argument.
Point by saying, "Well, I'm not going to debate that point because I don't believe you believe that point." That's
not. I don't understand what you said.
Oh yes, what Andy is trying to say is that engaging in debate is an implicit recognition already that the words that come out of the mouth of your opponent somehow mean something. Or else, what's the purpose of debate?
Yeah, why are you?
The purpose of debate is exposing the truth. That is the purpose of debate. That calls into question the character of the debater and the ideas being debated. That is why I wanted to come on here and debate. I will literally debate any issue that he wants to bring up. He's the one who keeps bringing up.
What you're going to say? All you're going to say is you have these issues.
There's no reason for you to talk over me.
But I've let you fucking go on and attack me and attack a whole bunch of shit.
Feel free to attack me as well.
I don't care about you.
What I'm saying is credible, and you're just going personal insult. What I'm saying is bring up an issue that you want to discuss, and I would be happy to.
I'll bring up an issue. I'll bring up an issue. Sorry, my computer's lagging right now, and I don't want the stream to be shut down. So a GARM 93 through €50, and maybe you could a debate about this. He says, talk about most Jews in positions of power having double citizenships and advocating for policies beneficial to Israel and detrimental to the good of their host countries. They should be treated as foreign agents, which is Garm's opinion there. L'shaim Magoys.
Should I start?
So, I mean, let me ask you this. You're pro-Israel, right?
Yep.
All right. Are you a citizen of Israel?
Yep.
Okay. How can you be loyal to two countries?
How can anybody be loyal to two countries? There are plenty of people that have dual citizenship of other countries.
Okay, there's plenty of people that have dual citizenship. How can you personally, how can you be loyal to two countries? Which will you choose if these countries come into dispute?
Well, maybe you haven't listened to me in the past, which is fine. As I said, I'm a nobody. You haven't heard of me yet. But I have been trying to actually get rid of my Israeli citizenship ever since I moved back here. I only declared it because I was working over there as a reporter for 10 years, and it was easier for my taxes to declare dual citizenship. I renounced it in 2013. It's just more of a process than I thought it would be. But I have no interest in maintaining my Israeli citizenship.
Okay, fair enough. All right. That's good. I'm happy for you. But what do you think about do you believe that there are individuals in the United States government? Now, you can say that this is not a valid point because of issues in my past if you want, but I mean, I'm
not going to talk about your past if we're talking about an issue.
Well, no, because before you literally said like anything I say is invalid.
You're the one who just brought it up again. Finish your question because I'm looking forward to answering it.
Okay, so do you think that there's an issue with individuals of dual and like, let's be honest, when we talk about Israel is the Jewish state. So Jews have a relationship to Israel, whether or not, they are citizens or not, on paper, there is an issue there. Can I ever trust a Jew in a position of power that they will be loyal to the United States rather than loyal to Israel?
I love what you just did there. I love how you tried to blunt what I was going to say by throwing something out there to just kind of describe that what you said was a lie. Because what you said is that there are people in the position of government that have dual citizenship. They actually don't. They would have to go to Israel and declare dual citizenship and accept it in order to do so, as they would have to.
Wait a minute. I contingent. Dude, this fucking guy.
I didn't interrupt you. They would have to go over there and declare dual citizenship and accept it, as they would have to in Germany, as they would have to in almost all European countries, almost all South American countries, almost all Asian countries. Anyone who has that nationality can go claim dual citizenship and have it recognized by the United States. No one calls into question a German person's ability to stay loyal to America, because if they so choose, they can go to Germany and declare dual citizenship. You seem to think that because someone's Jewish and can go to Israel and declare dual citizenship, that makes them a dual citizen. It does not.
I didn't say
most of them would turn it down.
I literally didn't say that.
Yes, you did. You said even if it's not a piece of paper.
I said, yeah, that even if it's not a piece of paper, meaning even if they're not actually a dual citizen, do you think there's an issue with dual loyalties with Jews? No.
I don't.
All right, I disagree.
Okay, we can disagree on that one.
All right, so we have a super chat from the Southern Dingo, $30 US. How do you defend yourself against an attacker without using violence? The answer is simple. The rules are out the window when they're not playing by them. I think it's a reference to what Mike was saying earlier.
Can you please clarify, because I didn't understand what you're saying, and I want to make sure I've got the point.
It's essentially the point that Mike was doing earlier, where he said, because Jews, in the way they proceed, they violate some rules, then we have not to apply some rules to them because they have violated these rules and they have implicitly consented into not playing the kind of game that the average citizen would play. Now, Mike, I wanted to
I think all of this is predicated on certain assumptions here. I think that like when we get into this realm where everything is this abstract premise and it's all about abstract rights and theoretically every individual, blah, we're not talking about the real world and how people really behave. The complaint against Jewish power is that Jews act effectively as an ethnic group. They have connections to each other. They promote each other. They're extremely nepotistic. They're ethnocentric. They have their own state. They have their own state, but whereby the things that are advocated for by Jews in the United States are effectively the exact opposite of what goes on in Israel. I mean, do you deny that? Would you agree with me that essentially Israel engages in policies that Jews in the United States lobby against, like a wall, like not allowing third world immigration, like sterilization of black people, like forcibly removing migrants, like having a state based on their own ethnicity? do you agree that Jews have a double standard, have a dual loyalty, and have two ways of looking at things depending on whether they're talking about the United States and Europe or whether they're talking about Israel?
So, okay, I can answer that. You, in one breath, said that you believe that Jews all have this dual loyalty to Israel and to America, right? But at the same time, you're upset that they're advocating for policies here and not giving a crap about what's going on in Israel.
I don't say not giving a crap.
I don't believe for 1 second that the people who are here advocating for against a wall here are advocating for a wall there. They're not thinking about there at all. As it's
why aren't they advocating against a wall there, though?
Why should they? Why do they have to advocate against any
Jews,
foreign
right?
government?
Aren't they? I mean, do you ever read the Jewish Daily Forward? Just out of curiosity.
Sometimes.
Okay, you're aware that, like, essentially, these are Jews that sit around and they talk about, you know, what do we like? How do we reconcile these issues? The wall in Israel. How do we reconcile the fact that people continuously point out that there are policies that the Jewish community overwhelmingly advocates against in the United States? Israel is essentially a national socialist state, and we're supposed to believe that Jews are so against this idea. They're so against the idea of ethnic states, of ethnic solidarity, of walls, of security, etc. And I just don't buy it.
But you just literally answered your own question, though. The reason that there's a debate amongst American Jews as to why this can go on in Israel and not here. Wait a minute. Let me finish. The reason they're upset about it is because they have absolutely no power over Israel, and they wish they could advocate that Israel would do something about their wall or about their migrant policy or things like that, and they can't because Israel doesn't give a crap what they have to say. They want their values of a no wall, their values of migrants coming in all over the place.
I don't see any evidence of that.
Well, how about you talk about Sarah Silverman's sister, the actress? She's over there right now in Israel. She just started an organization to keep all of the migrants in Israel that Israel is kicking out. So she is actually out there doing what you said. She's there in Israel advocating for the same thing she's advocating for here. The majority of American Jews have never been to Israel, know nothing about Israel, and the only thing they've ever heard about Israel is what they've read in the paper. They have no desire to go there and be a part of the political system. So they're upset that Israel seems to be speaking for Jews because it's a Jewish country, but at the same time, they're completely impotent in affecting Israeli policy. They're not sitting here saying Israel should be allowed to build a wall because after all, but America should not because of after all. What you're saying is exactly in line with the truth.
May I just ask, Mike, did he answer your original question at all?
Well, I mean, the issue is, it's like, okay, I personally am skeptical of what you're saying, that these Jews are so opposed to these policies in Israel. It's certainly, there is let's like, how about this? Let's like move away from this whole, like, I'm going to get you, I'm going to fucking trip you up. And let's talk about things in terms of how they really are. Now, Jews, I'm not claiming Jews is like a monolith. There's left wing, there's Mondo Weiss and all that stuff, and they claim some amount of consistency in being purely for left wing. My point is, one thing that can be counted on.
I'm losing you. I don't know if it's me or if it's you. I didn't hear that part. I lost you.
Mike can start over a sentence.
I'm saying that I will acknowledge the fact of extremely like left wing Jews that do advocate against these things in Israel. However, fundamentally, the policies of Israel don't really concern me, other than to the extent that I see a great deal of hypocrisy amongst Jews for failing to criticize Israel when they consistently criticize the United States, when they consistently impugn the morality of white people in the United States that wish to have a wall, that wish to restrict immigration, that do not want masses of third worlders here. And in fact, I mean, you can say like, that this is like some fantasy, some whatever, but I mean, we see the Jewish lobby has in fact been responsible for many of the things that are detrimental to the interests of white Americans, including the 1965 Immigration Act, the wars for Israel, the consistent Zionist wars, the control of the media. I mean, the control of the media that is, now in the process of attacking and attempting to unseat a democratically elected president. I mean, this goes to the heart of the matter of Jewish power, that it essentially acts as a force that is detrimental to the interests of the people that it oversees. And fundamentally, I don't see a reason why any group of people should be required to accept over it essentially an oligarchy of another ethnicity that doesn't identify with you, that acts collectively while insisting that you act individually, and will not allow, the ethnic identification. I mean, what's the one thing that always comes under attack? It's when white people choose to ethnically identify with each other, defend their rights as white people, and say, we would like our own country. We had a country. It has been taken from us through the systemic abuse of political power, the repression of our rights, the importation of millions of third worlders, things Jews would never put up with in their own country. This is a pattern. It's the Jewish question is not saying like every single Jew. Sure, you could probably find counter examples, but that's not the issue. The issue is that it is a pattern. It is a pattern recognition issue. We see Jewish power as being detrimental to our interests, and essentially your gripe is you should be required to extend the same rights to people that are attacking you that you enjoy, and I just don't see that. And I don't see why I should say that Jews have a right to essentially use a system against me. I don't see why they have that right.
What I'm saying is that you keep saying things and then you throw in little tidbits of lies in order to make your point seem valid. You just said the 1965 Immigration Act, which was passed by Jews. How many Jewish senators were there at the time? 3.
So we're going into this thing, right? The only way to exercise power is to literally be sitting in office. There's no such thing as soft power, lobbying.
Well, I want to know if there's evidence that this was a Jewish thing, then I would like to see your evidence of the Jewish power that did it when there were 3 Jewish senators. Secondly, you just said that they're advocating for things in Israel when I just said, no, they are not. In fact, what they're advocating for in Israel is not a wall.
Again, show me the evidence of that. Show me the evidence of that. You show me the evidence of that.
Gladly.
Where? No, right now. Let's see it.
Okay, give me a sec. What they're advocating for in Israel is that Israel surrender its ancestral homeland to its mortal enemies. And that's
kind of like what they're advocating for here. All right, so then we have Jews that are consistent that people should surrender their homeland to their enemies. Wow, great. A great freaking argument for Jews.
No, I think that we should argue against those Jews, just like I said right in the beginning. And I don't understand why you're getting so upset about me agreeing with you that we should fight against Jews who are for giving away our homeland, for unfettered immigration, for advocating for any kind of communist thing. I said that from the very beginning.
The challenge to you is, if we're so much in agreement, then just advocate for what we're talking about.
You haven't advocated a single solution to anything, Mike. All you do is point out problems. You don't advocate for a single solution. There's nothing to join. You don't sit here and say, we should do this or we should do that. You just point out the problem and think that's good enough. That is a coward's way out.
Halsey, but can't people criticize things, but not have a solution at the moment, but try to gather people to try and figure something out? Like, for example, like you're against SJWs, right?
Yep.
So a lot of them are in power or like media, for example, right?
Right.
Like, you criticize that. Do you have a solution to?
What's your solution?
You know what I mean?
What's your solution to the SJW problem, Halsey?
Right here. Right here.
And that's what Mike Enoch's doing, though.
But I'm saying, I have openly said from the beginning, I think the best thing that can happen to anybody who agrees with me is to let Mike speak. I think that Mike's supposed message is so abhorrent to the majority of people that hear it that I am going to win by default when people hear him open his mouth, and especially when people look further into him. That is how I feel that the battle is won. What he keeps saying is, why
do you think that? Why is the battle with me though? You said you wait. Wait, hold on. Why particularly is your battle with me?
Why is it? My battle is with all of you. You're just another one of them that I have a lot of. All of the leaders of the alt-right who are fraudulently trying to push this message that there's a Jewish problem that requires a genocide.
You just said there was a Jewish problem.
No, you not only hear half the sentence? That requires a genocidal solution.
I never said that.
You consistently say gas them or put them in the ovens or do things like that. Yes, I understand. It's just all funny, right? It's funny when you say that you should put people in ovens when less than 100 years ago, they were put in ovens. And they were put in ovens by people that went out there and advocated that they were evil people. So if you're trying to tell me that there's nothing to be gained. You're not putting a solution forward. You're letting everybody who listens to you come up with some ideas of how they're going to fight this Jewish problem. I'm personally saying, I go out there and I expose these people the same as I expose you.
So what's your solution to but you're against SJW. Let's focus on SJW. So what's your solution?
Elected my solution.
Okay. I mean, all right, good job. I mean, that's okay, but they're still out there.
Yep, and they're always
so what are you
going to be
going to
out
do?
there, just like Jews are always going to be out there,
do.
and just like everybody else is going to be out there. What I'm saying is that I went out there, and for a year, I went out and promoted Trump and said Trump is the answer to what's destroying this country. I succeeded in many, many ways in influencing others to vote for him at a great personal cost, I might add. By doing so, I felt that I did my part, but I had a solution. My solution was to elect Donald Trump and to give him the Republican Congress that he needed to implement the policies that I saw I wanted. Your solution seems to be to just point out the problem.
Well, first of all, we supported Trump as well, but I mean, Trump has not ended all these issues.
You can't end an issue. You can only start to win it.
So so you're proposing an unreasonable standard on me, because you're essentially saying I have to come up with some solution like that.
I'm saying that you should come up with anything except for pointing out the problem. All you do is point out the problem. I'm saying that I'm advocating for the things that I want, and I'm going out there and I'm campaigning for politicians that are going to change things in the way that I hope they get changed. I'm out there criticizing when I think that they're doing something wrong, and almost every time I say what I believe they should be doing instead. When I heard that he was going to give DACA people amnesty, I went out there and said he should deport all of them, every last one of them, line them up on a bus and kick them over the border. That's a solution. Even if it's not realistic, that's what I would like to see. I pointed out the problem and then gave a solution that I would like to see. I'm not claiming that I'm going to get my solution. I'm claiming that that's the way I feel about it. You're sitting here pointing out a problem, but you're not saying any solution except for saying, look, I see hypocrisy. Well, welcome to the world, my friend. Hypocrisy is everywhere, in every race, in every color, and every creed. Just pointing it out does not make you a part of the solution. It makes you a part of, I want to say the problem, but it makes you more than the problem.
So here, it seems that Halsey is asking for a legitimate question. He's pushing for a solution. Mike, if you had more than your microphone, what do you think could be done to reduce Jewish power over media, over finances, and over the American economy and democracy?
I would send them to Israel.
So your answer is to round them up and send them to Israel?
Yeah.
What if they don't want to go? They're American citizens. So what if they don't want to go?
What if the Palestinians don't want to leave? Don't want to leave their land? What do the Jews do there?
They're not citizens.
They live there. Yeah, you see, you're reducing it to an essence of a piece. What did the Jews do to the Palestinians that were on the land they wanted in 1948? What did they do?
Nothing. They encouraged them to stay. The Arab armies asked them to leave. That's why there's still a 30% Arab minority in Israel. They could throw them out at any time and don't. So I'm curious as to why you think
they did nothing. They did nothing then.
They fought a war against 8 countries that invaded them, who told the Arabs, leave, so when we kill all the Jews, you could come back and have your land 2 weeks from now, and then they lost. The Jews asked them to stay and not listen to the
Jews asked the Arabs.
The Arabs. Yes, sure. It's well documented.
Sure. Yeah, sure it is.
Yeah, exactly. See, this is your answer to everything. Whenever somebody debunks what you're saying,
no one believes what you're saying. The Jews kicked Arabs off their land. This is not in dispute.
Sure it is. It's in 100% dispute what you're saying, because it's not true.
All right, let me get this from you then. In principle, the Jews should not have kicked Arabs off their land?
They didn't do it, so I'm not
talking about I'm asking you, in principle, Jews should not kick Arabs off their land, yes or no?
I don't know. I'm not advocating for Israeli policy.
Okay. All right. Okay. No. But this cuts exactly to the heart of what I'm talking about, because you don't want to answer the question when it comes to your thing.
You're accusing me and didn't let me finish. Finish. If it came to my decision, if someone crowned me Emperor Scott and said, what is your solution in Israel? I would easily say, kick all the Arabs off, just like you did all the Jews. But I would also realize that I would have to do so violently and fight a war to do it. If you're encouraging that you think your people should pick up arms and do that, I encourage you to try, because you will lose, and you will lose badly. And that's what I would be happy with. So if you're saying that I'm being a hypocrite and a double
No, what I'm saying.
They're not. I'm selfless, the same as I would expect an Arab to fight for his
So
citizenship in
basically,
Israel.
you're a Jewish supremacist here. You're saying, I mean, now, can I
don't
ask you
need
a
to talk
question?
about being a Jewish
Did you say
supremacist.
this?
You're making that case, not me. You're the one saying I control the media, I control Hollywood, I control the banks, my country's lobby controls the government, I control immigration policy, and then you're saying, and you know what? You're acting like a Jewish supremacist. Do you realize how ridiculous that sounds?
No, it doesn't sound ridiculous at all.
Mike, would you, like, if you wanted to kick all the Jews out, would you be willing to do it violently?
Sure, yeah, in theory. But the point is, though, that like this very conversation is an attempt to distract from essentially what we are saying. Now, you can always do this. You can always say, hey, you guys, what you ultimately want. I mean, here, Halsey was trying to get into a position where he had some kind of moral authority because he was going to get me to say, oh, you want to kick out the Jews. I think Jews should go to Israel. Israel is their state. Now, he doesn't want to talk about Jews kicking Arabs off their land because it kind of messes with his ability to take a moral high ground over a white person that says, I would like to live in a country where Jews don't live here, where Jews don't have power over me.
And he just made up what I said. I explicitly said that given the opportunity, I would throw Arabs out. I have also said that they have not thrown Arabs out. If they were so powerful, they could throw all the Palestinians right over the border and never have to worry about it.
That is a simplistic way of looking at power, dude. Like, the Jews have kicked Arabs off their land, and right now they are engaged in a slow process of moving them across out of the West Bank. They've sort of slowly encroached on them in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, move some of them out. You get very pro-Zionist Jews. Ben Shapiro used to advocate for this. Many extreme right-wing Jews in Israel advocate for this. They say we should round them up and kick them out. There are political hurdles to that. One is the Jews' images as victims in World War II would be tarnished by them doing something like this. This is a consideration. So politics,
I would much rather have a Jewish state that's hated by everybody than an Auschwitz that's loved by everybody. Seriously, you're the one who's sitting here saying, oh, we would tarnish our image, so therefore we sacrifice our children in suicide bombings because, after all, our image matters. That is nuts. And as I said, they did not kick Arabs off. Why
do Jews tolerate the Arabs then? Because they're so nice?
No, because they're just as crazy here when they're left-wing Jews in Israel as they are here. Why do Jews on the left wing and whites on the left wing and blacks on the right wing feel free and happy to have Muslims coming over the border and Mexican MS-13 members coming over the border? I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm saying it is what it is, and it's universal there and here. You're the one who's advocating that somehow Jews have a different opinion when it comes to Israel and when it comes to here. What I'm saying is left-wingers are crazy no matter where they are. They're destroying Europe, they're destroying Israel, they're destroying here, and you're trying to make it into a Jewish conspiracy as opposed to a left-wing conspiracy. I have said I would fight against the left wing regardless of their race, religion, or creed because I think they're wrong and I think they're dangerous for this country. You're the one who's advocating that it's a Jewish conspiracy because there's a lot of Jewish broadcasters at CNN. And what I'm saying is that you're great at pointing out specific instances of an overrepresentation and allowing others to draw their conclusions instead of pointing out the actual problem or any actual solution. You said to me, would you throw Arabs out of Israel? Yes, I would. The same consistent opinion I said that I would throw DACA recipients out of America. I'm the same one that I said I would be more than happy to build a wall. You keep saying, but Israel did. First of all, no one asked me back then. I wasn't even alive. So I can't sit here and say they did the right thing or didn't do the right thing. I just know they didn't do it. They asked them to stay. It was the Arab armies who said, get out of the way because we're going to kill everything in our path and we want you to retake the cities afterwards. That is what happened. That is the historical truth. And you're trying to make up the...
that doesn't seem to me to be the consensus historical truth. But
yeah, it seems also that you're making a play on the initiator of violence. But when the Israeli settlements occurred and throughout the history of Israel establishing itself, do you deny that there were acts of violence, act of depropertization against legal principles and against what we would consider to be a sense of property? Do you deny that there was ever a violent act in that process?
Number one, you just said two separate things, and I will address both of them. Number one, when the first settlement in the 1800s came and started reestablishing a Jewish presence in Israel, they bought every inch of that land with money from its rightful owners, who were the Ottoman Turks. There was no Palestine. There was no Arab government. It was the Ottoman Turks, and they bought the land. They then drained the swamps and turned it into a thriving place. After World War I, when the Ottomans lost the war, the British took control of it. The British were the governors of it. There was way more Arab violence against Jews than there was Jewish violence against Arabs. So no, I don't believe that the Jews violently took the land. They bought it, and then they built it, and they built it into a state. Mark Twain visited the Palestine in the 1800s and said he could go 10 miles in any direction without running into a single human being. The land was deserted.
Okay, so if it's really nice there, why don't Jews want to live there?
Some do, some don't. Some don't want to live in the Middle East. Some want to live in America. Wouldn't you?
Why should they be entitled to live in both Israel and America at their choice?
Why would you be entitled to live in wherever the hell you're from and America by your choice? Which is
I am only a citizen of America. America is my country. I only have one country.
And 99.9% of Jews only have citizenship here. They're not dual citizenship. They've never even seen Israel. If you're saying because they can go get it if they want it, so can you. And I don't understand how that.
What are you talking about? So can I? I can go. What is it that's equivalent that I can go get? I mean, look.
Where's your family from?
They're from multiple different European countries. Okay, I am ultimately from America.
So am I. So I'm wondering if I am ultimately from America, because my father's side of the family goes back to the pre-signing of the Declaration of Independence. My family has fought in every American war as a war leader since that day. And my mother's family came over in the 30s. So I am an American as well. I was born here. My parents were born here. I don't understand how that makes me less of an American. You can go claim you're Lithuanian or you're Slavic or whatever the hell your citizenship is wherever you want. Yes, you can.
I actually can't, but that's actually irrelevant to the point here. Again, the point here is I make a critique of communal Jewish power in my country. And this power causes a problem for me. It goes against my interest. It goes against the interest of
what is your solution?
There is a number. I have told you I want Jews to go to Israel.
And I'm saying you won't get that. And if
so,
if you're advocating a violent uprising, that's fine. We will fight you and we will win. Not we as Jews, we as Americans. We as Americans, if you and your cronies decide that you want a violent uprising to expel all the Jews, we will fight and we will win. You will not. So if what you're advocating is for that solution, that's nice. You can advocate for a lot of pie in the sky solutions that won't happen. But what I'm saying is if you're advocating for a legal solution that's well within the system, let me have it. But if you're advocating for a violent uprising, fine, then we'll fight.
And what I am advocating for right now, see this again, it obscures the truth of what's really going on.
You keep saying, I'm answering every single question you're asking, Mike. Every one I'm answering point blank.
Look, here's the thing. You said, what's my solution? I say Jews go to Israel. That's my solution. Now you're saying you don't advocate for anything, whatever. Fine. All right. Go to fucking Israel, dude. That's the solution. Get out. Go away. Leave us alone.
Country. They can live in their country just like
Why do they get two fucking countries?
Why do you get two fucking countries? That's what I'm curious about.
No white person is. Not only that, but Jews advocate for the tearing down of the borders of this country specifically so they can be comfortable here because they don't want to go live in their precious little ethno state that we pay for. I suffer and white people suffer because of the institutional power of Jews that work against our interests. This is a fact. This is an obvious fact in terms of media, politics, finances, foreign policy, everything. And you are saying that unless I have some perfect fucking solution where nobody gets hurt, then I should just shut up. That's ridiculous. That's an absurd standard.
I didn't say it. So,
but that's kind of what you were saying because you're saying you don't advocate for this. What's your solution?
I give you a solution. Now you don't want to talk about it. I told you to shut up. I told you to get a bigger microphone. I want people to hear what you say, Mike.
All right, then we don't really have anything to debate. You agree that there's a lot of Jewish power. You agree that you
want me to apologize for it.
I'm not asking you to apologize for anything. In fact, your Your demeanor here is very good for me, but
my demeanor
and the fact that the sort of putting words in my mouth.
I know that I can't win in the
chat. To actually,
I can't. Wait a minute. I know I can't win in the chat no matter what, because I'll tell you what.
Because I'm more popular than you right now. The question is, you've acknowledged that there's a problem with Jewish. Is there a problem with Jewish power or not?
No.
But you said there was earlier. Are you going back on that? I said
there's a problem with left-wing power and that some Jewish groups are part of it and that Jews have power. I acknowledge that they have power. I did not know that there is a problem with strictly Jewish power. I never said that once.
Right? It's not simply the left, because the right-wing Jews now, you might be the super MAGA guy, build the wall, deport them all, whatever. That is not the tendency of right-wing Jews. Right-wing Jews overwhelmingly are neoconservatives, and they act in the realm of foreign policy. They're very interested in expanding the U.S. war machine, increasing wars against countries that, as far as I know, never did anything to us. They want agitation against Iran. They want agitation against Russia. They want to do this stuff because of the geopolitics involving Syria, etc. These right-wing Jews are acting against my interest as well. So my critique is not merely of the left. My critique is not merely left.
Your critique is against policies you don't like, which is fine. I also have policies,
but these policies I don't like are specifically connected to Jews and Jewish power.
You don't believe that Christians feel that Iran is a problem? You think that's only a Jewish thing? Do you?
I
want you to answer the question.
Well, this is where the issue
of white people do not have a problem with Iran, and that white people just want to hug with Iran, because I saw a hell of a lot of white people out there advocating against the Iran deal. When you're sitting here saying, no, it was just Jews and Jews were pursuing their own policy. I never said it was
just Jews. I am saying the policy comes from the policy advocacy and the media control that advocates and gives these messages to white people. Again, white people.
So you're saying white people are stupid?
No. Look, do you agree that controlling the media means you can control a message to a large population, get your narrative out there?
I think they have influence in the media.
Do you believe that the media can convince people that are intelligent of a narrative?
Yep.
Okay, so then I don't think white people are stupid. I believe white people have been convinced of narratives that are not necessarily in their interest. I want to fight against those narratives. And I believe those narratives are coming from very powerful and wealthy Jews that are advocating in Jewish interests.
And what I'm saying,
and I believe they're advocating because they are Jews.
And you keep saying that, and I keep saying that there are plenty of powerful white people who advocate the same thing, who have nothing to do with Jews. And in fact,
well, first of all, they don't have nothing to do with Jews. Okay, anybody that has power in this country has something to do with Jews, and I am equally critical.
I'm equally critical.
No, it doesn't sound ridiculous at all.
You're saying that have something to do with Jews. Seriously,
of course they do.
That's where your boogeyman stories come into play, and this is why I said it comes down to your own personal character and why it has something that you fraudulently argue for all of this shit all the time.
Fraudulently. Again, here's that word, fraudulent. What's fraudulent?
What did I just say?
You said fraudulent. What's fraudulent? Specifically, give me the.
Here we go again. I have said that the determination of what a person is saying is determined by their character. I keep saying you have not.
I'm sorry. I'm actually legitimately sorry you broke up.
What I'm saying is that a person's legitimacy is determined by their character. If you're going to go out and advocate that everybody is connected to the Jews and it's all about the Jews and the Jews do all of this, then I have the right to look into who is saying it to determine whether it has.
You always have that right no matter what. You can look into me. I don't care. Okay.
Right. And as I said, when you stepped on
what I'm saying is look, the idea that
powerful to marry your Jewish wife, I didn't hear you advocating for all of a sudden the Jews are so evil. I didn't even hear you advocating it when you were hiding in the closet doing daily shows so your wife wouldn't hear you. She advocated when she left you.
Here's the thing. We get to a point where we're talking about stuff you don't want to talk about and you go into this again. You go into my personal history.
Because I'm saying you're lying, Mike.
Where am I lying? Where am I lying?
You are lying.
Where? Where's the lie? Tell me where I'm lying about.
I'm going to. Every single policy that you have said, or every time you have said, it's all the Jews, everyone's connected to the Jews, it's all about the Jewish influence. It is not. I am telling you that's a lie. And you're saying
that's related to my personal life.
How? Your answer is trust me. And I'm saying I have no reason to trust you because you're a fraud. And then you're saying, why am I a fraud? And I'm telling you why you're a fraud. And then you're saying it's a personal attack. No, it isn't. I am going to the source of the bullshit that you are espousing.
Okay, no. This is ridiculous. Look, I am saying that people in power in the government are connected to Jews in some way. That is an obvious assertion. Go to Capitol Hill. Look at how the people that are running the U.S. government, the people in power, the lobbyists, corporations, media, everybody in power deals with Jews on some level. Would you deny this?
White people too. Are you saying that white people are acting in the detriment of America? I thought a white agnostic was the perfect answer.
Also, you keep bringing back the idea that there are other people potentially dirty in politics. The fact that there are other people is not so relevant. We've had
I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that you're seeming to want me to claim ownership of a Jewish problem that I say is a problem universally.
All right, that's just where we then, and here, Halsey, here is where we have identified the germ of our disagreement. And let's see if we can, through this conversation that we're having, identify specifically our disagreements, because I will give you credit for being more right-wing than usual for Jews, and actually supportive of things that I myself support, such as ending DACA, deporting illegal immigrants, building the wall, etc. I'll give you some credit for that. Now, I think there's a disagreement here that I see the leftward trend of America, and not just the leftward, but the trend of America in which policies that are not in the interest of the historical American population, that is white people, policies that are detrimental to them, not only policies, but political narratives, things like white privilege, white guilt, that I see these as coming from a Jewish intelligentsia, a Jewish media, elite, a Jewish financial and political elite that promote these narratives, that they in my opinion, whether they take them seriously or not, I don't know. Some of them really believe it. Maybe some of it's cynical, and they promote their own interests. They promote Israeli nationalism. They promote the interests of Israel in foreign policy. They promote open borders in domestic policy generally. I see organized Jewish groups do this. Now, you want to sort of raise the bar there and say that I'm saying literally every Jew. No, I'm saying it's like obviously not literally all, but literally all is not like it's not the fact that literally all is not the thing does not mean you cannot critique the trend, that you're not going to critique the group. Naxalt, as we call it, not all X are like that, is epistemologically not a valid argument, because you are essentially saying because of one outlier you cannot notice a trend. I'm saying the trend of Jewish power goes against my interest as a white person. The trend of it is for Zionism in foreign policy. The trend of it is for open borders in domestic policy, for free trade in domestic policy, which moves manufacturing overseas, reduces trade limits, moves products out, moves workers in, lowers prices, etc. I see these things coming out of a Jewish intelligentsia, Jewish narratives. Many white people have been convinced of this. Many white people have done very bad things in the pursuit of these narratives. I fight against those white people. I criticize them, but I'm not going to ignore what I see as the germ of many of these poisoned ideas, which is Jewish intelligentsia, Jewish media power, Jewish financial power, and the Jewish lobby and foreign policy. I'm just not going to overlook that and pretend that the Jewish identity of these people is irrelevant to their activism and what they're doing, because it's not. And they tell you it's not. When I go to the Jewish Daily Forward and they say Jews are the ones that pioneered American immigration policy, Jews are out there fighting for immigrants, when there's a group that brings the lawsuit against President Trump for his attempt to ban people from 7 different Middle East countries. Who is it? Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. This is a pattern. It comes over and over again. We see wealthy and powerful Jews using their wealth and power to do activism that is detrimental to the white population. That's not to say there's no white people involved in that. Of course there are. Of course there are. And I'm critical of them. But I'm not going to not be critical of Jews, and I'm not going to ignore their Jewish identity as a factor in their activism.
And what I am saying over and over and over again, and I will now say again, Warren Buffett is not Jewish. Bill Gates is not Jewish. President Obama wasn't Jewish. Hillary Clinton isn't Jewish. These are all people that are doing the exact same things. And you're trying to claim that it's a Jewish problem. So what you're essentially saying is if we got rid of the Jews, none of this would happen anymore.
I've not said that. That's a straw man. I've never said that.
I'm sorry. If that's not what you're saying, then I will correct myself. But
there's other problem. Look, I'm not saying that Jews are like the only problem. Again, I feel like you want to reduce
your
me
show
to.
Is called The Daily Show.
Yeah,
You're talking about Jews almost nonstop.
We talk about other things too. I mean,
I know you talk about other things. But
okay,
what I'm saying is,
why are you trying to pin me down as being like the look again? You are raising the bar epistemologically in order to make the whole thing thrown out. I criticize those that I see as acting against white interests. However, I also believe, and I think there's good evidence for the fact that many of these people that are acting contrary to the interests of whites are acting on Jewish narratives that are there because of a Jewish intelligentsia and a Jewish power structure. And I do believe that Jews in their activism are motivated by their Jewish identity. You're saying, no, it's just because they're leftists. I don't think so. Okay? I disagree. We just are going to disagree on that.
Okay, then we can just disagree on it. I'm happy
to ask one question real quick.
Just before, then me.
All right, cool. My friend Billy the Anti-Bully sends a question. He's a fan favorite here. He says, this is to Halsey. You say Mike is a fraud when he says Jews run things like the media, and that your reason for that is that Mike was married to a Jew. But since Mike is in media, wouldn't that actually prove it?
You have to start over again. I got as far as Jews in the media, and then you cut out.
All right. You say that Mike is a fraud when he says Jews run things like the media, and that your reason for that is that Mike was married to a Jew. But since Mike is in the media, wouldn't that actually prove him right?
No, because I didn't say that Mike was a fraud because he said Jews control the media. I have said Jews have influence on the media. I don't believe they control the media. I think Mike is a fraud because Mike is a fraud. I think that Mike is a fraud because of the things that he's advocated over time and the different principles that he claims to hold, I don't believe are true. I have given evidence to that from his personal life. I don't believe that Jews have no influence on the media. I don't believe that there's pretty much any group that doesn't hold an influence. Do Jews have an undue influence? Maybe. And maybe that needs to be fought against. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with fighting any leftist.
But you'll just call people that want to do that like frauds.
I didn't say you were a fraud for saying that. I keep saying this over and over.
But if what I'm saying is valid, then what does it matter what my personal life is?
Because what you said is they control the media, which they do not. There is not a Jewish control of the media. The stockholders of the media companies do, and CNN has platformed more of you people than anyone, and they're the ones you claim have the biggest Jewish control. They've had more of the alt-right on than any other one, including Fox.
All right. I don't. I've not ever seen an alt-right person on CNN, so I don't know what you're talking about. But
we've received a super chat, which is a reflection on history. Stacy Garvey, $200 US. Says, the more I argued with them, the better I came to know their dialectic. When there was no other way out, they played stupid. If all this didn't help, they pretended not to understand, or if challenged, they changed the subject. Slowly, I began to hate them. So I have a question for Halsey.
Hitler said that, by the way. That's not her. That's Hitler's quote.
No, I think
a lot of people
understand
where that quote came from.
It seems that
I'm saying that quote is from Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, that quote is we know where that quote came from.
So you're saying that you're arguing with Mike, and Mike is suggesting a series of solutions, essentially saying, first, point to the problem. Second, deportation could be considered. Third, let's fight against the control that these Jews have over finances and over media. And you agree factually with this observation that there are Jews that control media. You've agreed on the other show that there are Jews that were controlling the Democratic Party through donations to John Podesta. And so given that state of affair and the sequence of solution that Mike is suggesting, aren't you pushing it to the extreme limit where you're saying, we're going to keep doing this until you make a war against us and we're going to fight the war? Aren't you pushing it to a final solution when in fact there are intermediary solutions available?
What I said, JF, was right from the beginning when he said, I have free speech and I can say whatever I want. I said that same right extends to Jews. Jews can have any level of influence that they choose to have within the democratic system. I said Mike can advocate for any policy he wants, whether I disagree with it or not. If Mike wants to advocate for mass deportation of American citizens, he can do so, and I would fight him tooth and nail. I said that I would do that in a legal structure. If he's claiming he wants to use violence, then we'll go to violence. But I don't want to go to violence. I don't want to see any violence. I don't want to see any American citizens stripped of their rights just because of their nationality or their race or anything like that. They're American citizens and have just as much of a right to this country as Mike does. And what I'm saying is, if you said you did it again too. You said Jews control the media. I have not once said that is true. So I'm not going to sit here and argue and say you acknowledge that Jews control the media yet. I have not acknowledged that one time, and I'm not acknowledging it now. I'm saying they might hold undue influence, and if they do, it should be fought. I am okay with that. If it is a left-wing influence that is hurting my country, I am more than fine to fight against it, and I do constantly talk about the problems with the media. What I am saying is all of these things you are talking about are not a uniquely Jewish problem. And what I keep saying is they are not confined to Jews. They're confined to every single race, creed, and color in this country. And you keep saying, I want to stifle Mike's speech. I want Mike to not talk. I want to just go out. I want him to talk. I want to keep the system working the way that it is. But if it's going to come down to Mike advocating for me forcibly being removed of my rights, I am a Jew. So you can't say that they're going to make an exception for me, that my free speech is going to stay, but the left-wing Jews are going to go because, after all, it's Jewish influence. I would also lose my right to free speech. And then you're criticizing me for opposing that. You're criticizing me like you're saying Mike's not proposing a solution. He's proposing a solution of forcibly removing me from my rights. And if that's what he's saying, then we'll fight, because I'm not going to just surrender my rights.
All right, but that's, I mean, there's really, this is the point here, because essentially what I'm saying is, like, you don't want to acknowledge, I mean, you're gonna play footsie back and forth with the issue of Jewish power, like, and of course you want to bring it right to violence, because right now the alt-right is not a powerful force, right? The alt-right is a group of people that have not done anything violent. I mean, we are not advocating violence. We are advocates for whites, because whites right now are under attack. And essentially, you're placing the burdens of a system that exists now and say, you have to bear all of these burdens. When in fact, this is the exact system that is attacking us. And you're saying, like, if you cannot find a way out for your people, outside, within these constraints, and these constraints are, like, objectively morally good, because I benefit from them, and then, like, your people are using this to attack me, and it's like, you're like, oh, they have free speech, they can do whatever. It's like, well, what do they do when they get in power? They attack free speech. So, I mean, the only reason we don't have the only reason that there's greater free speech in America is just a history of it. Look in Europe.
But what I'm saying is you keep saying, I'll address Europe in a second, but you keep saying, yes, they have disproportionate influence. They have louder speech because they have more money or more influence or more power or whatever. But what you're saying is that you want that power. So are you saying when you attain it, that all of the other people that don't like it would have the same rights to deport you and everybody else when you take it?
This is, again, you're working on an abstract plane. This is
abstract? That is a pointed question. Is it okay for you, but not okay for me? That is the pointed 100% question.
Is it
okay for you and not for me?
Is what okay?
If you and the alt-right gained the amount of power and the amount of influence that you claim the Jews have now, is it okay for you to use that power to advocate for white people, but it's not okay for Jews to advocate for Jews?
Why would I ever, like, grant, like, the rights of people to, like, use power against me?
And why would the Jews grant the right of you?
Well, they don't. They objectively don't. Jews gain power. They use it in their own interests, and then they do, like, things like what you're doing. Say, like, come at me, bro. And if you come at me, by the way, you're violating a whole bunch of laws or something like that. Like, look, Jews don't respect these. That, by the way, but okay. You're not the Jewish power in the United States now does not respect my rights. They do not believe I have a right to speak against them. If I do, because I've done no criminal acts, I have simply used my microphone, as you have talked about. Yet I am under assault. Why? And they won't rest. Do you think they're going to stop? No. Therefore, if I sit here and say, yes, I will extend these people rights on some sort of even playing field, I'm just a fucking cuck. I'm just a cuck. That's stupid.
I absolutely told you from the beginning You said
you always want to make it about you.
Wait, you said
if you want to be the exception.
Wait, let me finish, please. You keep saying I want the judge to throw out the lawsuit because it's baseless and it doesn't have anything. I said you should use the power that's granted to you to hurt these people, to go after them and expose them. And then you openly said, I don't want to do that. I would rather it be given to me by a judge. And I'm telling you that that is not the way anything gets done, by asking someone else to give it to you. If you want to go out and raise white power and make whites a force to be reckoned with in a unified theory of political power, then I am not stopping you, nor is anyone else that I know of. Maybe the Jewish lobby in its abstract, like you keep bringing up, is, and you can fight against them.
It's not really abstract when, like, the people that are coming after us are wealthy and powerful Jews. That's not actually abstract.
I said, Warren Buffett is not Jewish. Bill Gates.
Warren Buffett's not the one coming after me.
Oh, really? Warren Buffett was not the biggest Obama supporter on the planet. He came out there every single day and advocated for Obama. Warren Buffett is coming after you. Warren Buffett wants you to have to pay all kinds of taxes that you don't want to pay, wants to restrict your speech, wants to call you a Nazi and all of that. You're
probably right.
You're the one who's saying it's Jewish power, and I'm saying it has nothing to do with Jewish power. It has to do with leftist.
All right. Well, okay, there you go. Nothing to do with Jewish power. I just think that that's an absurd. Like when you're talking about
you want me to
wealthy elite. You're talking about a wealthy elite of whom a disproportionate amount are Jews who are ethnically. Why you complain about me interrupting you? You just let me.
Go ahead.
All right, like I'm saying, you're saying nothing to do with Jewish power. I just think that that's just an absurd statement. I mean, Jews have a lot of power, and they network with each other. They gain more power. They have overrepresentation, and they use that in their interest. This is not like a particularly. I mean, why would you actually? In fact, to state otherwise would be absurd, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be odd if Jews didn't use all this power that they have in their own interests? And didn't use it to crush people they saw as enemies?
Oh my God, we're going in circles and circles and circles. Yes, there are powerful Jews. Yes, Jews form
Jewish groups. It has nothing to do, and their activities have nothing to do with them being Jews.
Advocate for Jewish interests.
All right.
They see them. There are different Jewish groups with different Jewish interests that have that complaint.
Okay, now we're onto something because we have Jewish groups with power and influence. Am I right?
There's white people that have white groups that have different power and influence. There are Spanish groups. I mean, there are
people that have white groups as white groups. Really?
I mean, you have the alt-right, which seems to be pretty much all white.
Right, I mean, but that's what institutional power do we have
as white people?
As alt-right,
as pro-white advocates.
I don't believe that what you're doing is pro-white. So I don't believe that what you're doing is a valid viewpoint that is going to gain a lot of traction.
Well, that's not.
But if you're asking me to give you influence that you haven't earned, no, I'm not going to do it. But if
I'm not asking you for anything.
No, you're asking me to somehow confirm that you are the one who is the guardian of white interests. I'm disagreeing.
I know. I don't care if you believe that or not, dude. I don't actually care if you believe that or not.
What I'm saying is most people don't believe that you're advocating for white interests. Most people believe that what you're advocating for is the opposite of white interests. It's white enslavement. So no, I don't believe that people want to put you in charge of white people.
Okay, so I'm not okay. What do you think the demographic future of the United States is?
I don't have the slightest idea.
Oh, really?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, the media is quite clear in what they think it is.
Okay.
And in fact, they're upset because they believe Trump has delayed the year in which white people drop below 50% of the population in the United States by 5 years. There was an analysis just recently done in the Washington Post on this. They are worried because they think Trump's attempts at immigration reform, which are being stymied all the time, they believe that this has delayed the point at which whites are a minority by 5 years. Now, do you agree that white people are under attack in the United States and in Europe right now?
Do I believe that white people are under attack?
Yes.
I can believe that to an extent.
Okay. That's what we see, and we fight against that. And we also see right now the immigration policies, the demographic policies, the favoritism given to every minority over white people. These are bad things for white people. Ultimately, the demand that we have a place of land for ourselves, a country to ourselves, is not particularly onerous, given the fact that the country that we have now is being essentially overrun, and there are demographic predictions by the media itself, by the UN, by the US government Census Bureau itself, that say you're going to be less than 50% in this many years, you'll be a plurality for so many years, and then you'll ultimately be a minority. And similar things are happening in Europe. Now, Europe, the immigration of non-whites is a much more recent problem, so it will take longer. The point being, there is no country that is the native population, the founding population is whites, where whites are allowed by the political media establishment to advocate as whites for the retention of their homelands. This is what we advocate for. And we believe that ultimately, if we are not allowed this, the white race will be wiped out. So you can say I'm not advocating in the interests of whites, because right now many whites are under a fog of illusion that has been created by a hostile media. And I agree with you. Many whites do not see things the way I do, which is why I engage in advocacy.
Right. I haven't disagreed with anything you said, except for you keep saying that
I think
no one will wait. I let you finish. I let you finish. Let me finish.
Okay.
As I said, you have repeatedly said that Israel is an ethno-state. We can argue for whether that's true or not. I think that because they have a 30% Arab minority, that they don't technically qualify as a pure ethno-state. But again, using that as an example and me ceding the point that it's an ethno-state. Well, wait, let me finish, please. You could easily go buy 20,000 acres in Montana or in Idaho or in anywhere else and say any white person willing to move here will get a parcel of land that we can build, and you can build a state within whatever areas you want. And if you're saying, well, the Jews would just stop us, I'm not telling you that they will or won't. I'm telling you that you could do it. It is legal. It is 100% allowed. You could do it. You could start to build you could build an area of white-minded. You could do whatever you want. It is absolutely not legal.
It is absolutely not legal in the United States, thanks to civil rights law, which was heavily advocated for by Jews. It is absolutely not legal to restrict parcels of land to whites only. It is absolutely not legal to own them. No, it's not.
You're not offering them.
It is not. It is a violation of civil rights law.
It is not. Only if you're offering them for sale. I'm not telling you to sell white people land. I'm telling you, if you bought 500,000 acres or 100,000 acres or anything you want and said any white people that want to move here.
First of all, okay, so you're saying,
that's what the Jews did.
Okay, listen to this. Listen to this. All right. So you're saying if I want to actually have my rights, I have to go restrict myself to a parcel of land in Montana that white people are only, because of, oh, look, this system, it just came up out of nowhere. I'm sorry, you just got to deal with it. And just go buy a piece of land there and live on it.
I'm saying the majority of white people, black people, Spanish people, Jewish people, every single race and creed disagree with you that they want this to be a whites only country. You're saying that you stick up for the rights of white people. So what I'm saying is, since nobody agrees with you other than a very small minority of people, and no one is going to give you anything because we're not communists and we don't advocate for giving people shit. What I'm saying is that if you want to go and found it,
socialistic, but
okay, I'm not advocating for Israeli policy. I'm talking about here in America. And I'm saying that you can easily go out.
Socialism here.
If you want to be surrounded by white people, you can do so, and no one will stop you. If the policy you're advocating for is the United States government should give it to you, it just won't happen. And you can still feel free to advocate for it. I don't care.
All right, I'm not sure. Okay, wait, hold on. So essentially what you're saying is you're up against, you're fighting an uphill battle. Yeah, thanks for the news flash.
I didn't say you were fighting an uphill battle. I said you're fighting an unwinnable battle. I'm saying that without violence, you will not be able to take America as a white country.
You're not. Then why argue?
Why argue? I want to expose your ideas, Mike. I've said this from the beginning. I want people to hear what you're saying so they can hear how batshit crazy you are. I want people to hear that you expect people to give you a white country and deport everyone who isn't white. That's nuts. That is absolutely ridiculous. And the reason that's ridiculous is because any country in Europe could have done it by now and hasn't. Why haven't they? Because it's ridiculous. Because that's how world wars start. When some guy stands up and says, I'm going to make this a whites only country and kick out everybody who isn't like me. That is what happens. And what I'm saying is you have the ability.
So then you admit that Jews have started world wars with their establishment of the state of Israel then?
I didn't say that Jews started a world war with
Well, they've started a lot of wars, haven't you?
They started a lot of wars.
They took a piece of land and started kicking out people unlike them. Am I right?
They didn't kick out anybody who was unlike them. And as I said, they started a war where they were invaded by 8 countries. So yes, forming their state caused a giant war. So yes, it is exactly consistent. Just like when Hitler said, I want a Germans only German state and started kicking out and killing people, it invoked a world war. There are different types of attitudes and there are different types of policies that will require violence. If what you're saying is you want a violent uprising to seize power,
but you're not fundamentally opposed to these things because you're in favor of violence to kick out the kinds of people that you don't want here and the kinds of people that you don't want in Israel, right?
Number one, I have
no. You're in favor of violence to kick out people that you don't want here. Am I right?
Mike, you asked a question. Let me answer it. I just said, if you want to go to violence to get what you want, I will be on the other side and happy to fight you with it. I am perfectly okay with you deciding that you want a violent revolution that is going to kick out everyone who is not like you and is going to send them somewhere else. I will be on the other side. I'm fine with you having that opinion. If you want to act on it, I believe you will lose. Okay? If we're talking about a foreign country with foreign policies, I can advocate for whatever I want. It doesn't mean they're doing it, not doing it.
But you want to kick people out of America too, right?
Who do I want to kick out of America other than
you said you want to kick out? All right. You don't think that's going to be violent?
I don't care if it's violent. I'm happy to use violence for that furtherance of that.
So you are happy to use violence to get what you want politically. See, this is the thing. You want to make it as if there's something so extraordinary about wanting to use, like, ultimately you agree, like, state action.
I didn't say there was something wrong with it. I said you'll lose. That's what I said. I didn't say there's something wrong with it. You will lose. That's what I'm saying. I didn't care if you want to use violence. If you decide that the microphone isn't good enough for you anymore,
why are you here? Why are you here?
Because I want people to hear you, Mike.
No.
I want people to hear you.
This is bullshit. This is right. What I want. I need to right now. You want to place this extraordinary burden on whites that engage in white advocacy, and no
one believes you're engaging in white advocacy, Mike.
No.
The white people of this country
you don't believe it, and you want to attack me.
You are believing that you're advocating for white people. The vast majority of white people disagree with you. They think that you're a piece of shit, Mike. That's what the vast majority of white America thinks. They don't think you're acting in their interest. They don't think that your state is somewhere they'd ever want to live. They think that you are a giant piece of shit. And they're okay with that thought. And you're saying you're acting in their interests. They disagree with you. And I'll be fighting on the same side as them. I will fight against you.
Essentially, you are saying that you want to fight against me. I mean, okay, but I don't see...
I am fighting against you, Mike. I am doing exactly my part that I can do right now in the bounds of the system that I love to fight against you. I am exposing who you are because I want you to say that you are advocating for white people because white people don't agree with you. White people think you're a piece of garbage. So you sit here and say, I am advocating for white people when the people who disagree with you in overwhelming numbers are white. There are the people who disagree with you and oppose you, just like me, the Jew, and the rest of my Jews, and the blacks, and the rest of their blacks, and the Spanish, and the rest of their Spanish. They all think you are a giant piece of shit and would be happy to advocate against you and pick up guns.
All right. Blah. Yes, we got it. Okay, you have a further point than this. I'm aware that my ideas are not popular. I'm aware that we are fighting an uphill battle. I'm aware that waking white people up to the actual plight that they are facing is a challenge. I mean, what is the point? I mean, you don't seem to actually want to argue based on ideas. You want to, whenever we get around to talking about an idea, you want to come back to saying, you're just going to fail. Everyone hates you. You're a piece of shit. Your personal life is X, Y, or Z. It seems like whenever we get down to actually talking about ideas, because you don't really want to talk about ideas.
What idea have I not addressed? Tell me which one.
You don't want to talk about ideas because the issue, the one idea that you keep, going off kilter as soon as I talk about is Jewish power, where you keep saying Jewish power is unrelated to Jewish being. That's absurd. Do you think that
you keep saying that I'm bringing it into the abstract, and I'm telling you, tell me the point that you want to make, and I'd be happy to discuss it. Every time you have brought up a point, I have said that I think that point is absurd.
Okay. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. You've agreed with a lot of stuff. You agree that there's Jewish power, right? You agree with you agree with my diagnosis of the problem of white demographics, didn't you? Did you not?
I don't know if it's a problem. I don't know. I don't really think of it that way. But
so you don't. All right. Well, why don't you think it's a problem? Why don't you think the white people ultimately becoming a minority in this country is a problem?
I don't know if it's a problem or not. I would say
why wouldn't it be a problem?
Because I'm not white. So no, I don't think that. Right. I don't think people advocating for a white ethno-state is going to serve my purposes very well. Considering
exactly. We're at cross purposes. We are at cross purposes.
I know. I agreed with you on that, Mike. Again, you keep saying I won't address it. We disagree on almost everything.
All right, so can we just what is the point here then? I mean, okay, great. We disagree on everything. We figured that out.
Okay.
I mean, you agree that the root of your disagreement with me at being a white advocate is that you're Jewish. Okay.
I don't believe you are a white advocate. I believe that white people disagree with you. And I believe that given your past history of advocates,
you said you're not white. You said you're not white. And you are now saying I am not a true white advocate. On what grounds would you tell me that? Now, why should white people listen to you?
Well, because I would say that the majority of white people agree with me that
why should they though? What do you offer white people? What are you offering?
I offer white people? I don't offer white people anything.
Okay, so okay.
I don't offer Jewish people anything.
Do you think that white people have a right to collectively organize for a space for themselves?
I believe that the idea that only race is an issue that should be talked about is absurd.
I think that political race. Do you think race is an issue at all? Do you think race is an issue at all?
I would be stupid to say no, but I don't think in the same way that you're saying.
So race is an issue. What are some of the issues with race that you
I would like to see your white state with this vast majority of white people that despise you living comfortably under the idea that you are a white advocate. You're claiming a race and ownership of a race that despises you.
Look, I don't really see that as an argument. You're saying a lot of people disagree with me. Okay, fine.
No, I'm saying the people
I'm aware. What we are saying is right now in the United States, the white race, who was one time a supermajority, is a dwindling ethnic group, and there are multiple problems with white people right now, and they are related specifically to them being white because they are under attack from an intellectual and media and governmental elite who use the power of the government to take away the ability of white people to self-organize, to take away the ability of white people to reserve spaces for whites only, who use institutions to attack them. HUD policy is essentially based around moving non-whites into white areas. Immigration policy is effectively anti-white. When's the last time we had a significant amount of white immigrants? We haven't. Non-whites are favored over whites. We have something called a diversity lottery, which essentially brings people into the country on the basis of their not being white. White people are suffering from massive problems with drug addiction, with hopelessness, with all of these things. And these things are not being addressed. And I want to come out and address them. And I think part of the issue is that there are anti-white narratives that are put out by Jewish intellectuals. And I can show this. I can show that the narrative of white privilege, which is a narrative that is used to attack any form of white self-confidence, white self-organization. I'm sure that many people listening to this stream have encountered this narrative and they fought against it. Well, this is something that was come up with by a Jewish intellectual. Now, why would they do this? I can only conclude because there's some sort of malice. There's some sort of malice, and you yourself have admitted that you have an antagonism towards white people. You feel that white people organizing in their interest is not in your interest. So fundamentally,
Mike, you realize that you realize that my father's white.
Well, whatever. That's
so,
that.
No, but I'm saying,
you confess that you don't identify white, and you think white interests are at cross purposes to you. So
my name is an identification with my white history.
Your name is Jewish, dude. English. There's no reason for an Englishman to be English, to be named English. That's what Jews do. Jews name themselves after places to identify with other Jews. The last name English.
Mike, I just told
Halsey, I don't care about you. That's your first. Your last name is English, right?
English is my father. My father isn't Jewish. So I think that you're trying to
Jewish.
No, my mother is Jewish.
Okay. Well, then
my
you're a Jew.
father is not. So what I'm saying is that you just advocated that even my name is Jewish when my name comes from my father, who's Irish.
Well, very often the name English or the names that are named that are place names are Jewish names.
And if you want to have some fun, look up the name Halsey, not the anorexic singer that's out on the pop radio. Look at the name of my family, Admiral William Halsey, who was my great uncle and won the war in World War II against the Japanese. He actually was the literal commander of the Pacific Fleet during World War II.
At a time when, there was whites only, immigration policy to the United States.
So we have a reflection again from Starcy Carvey, $200 US. Thank you so much. She says, the eternal struggle between the people and the hatred amongst them is being nurtured by a very specific interest party. It is a small, ruthless international clique that is turning people against each other that does not want them to have peace. And this makes me think of the part of the discussion where essentially this boils down to Mike is saying white people should have advocates for them and they should exist and they should have people protecting their right to exist. And Halsey answering, well, I don't care about this.
I didn't say that even once. I did not use the word I don't care even once.
Okay, you didn't say I don't care, but then when we boil down to why did it not concern you, you said I'm not white. So essentially it's a question of clique the same way is presented in the super chat. And my question to Halsey is, do you even recognize the legitimacy of a white ethno-state forming? And do you think that's a desirable outcome for the white people?
I think that's a desirable outcome for people who think like Mike. I think that that's a great outcome. I would love to see a white ethno-state arise for people like Mike and his white people who want to be with him. I think that that is an absolute fantastic idea, which is why I told him he should go do it.
Okay, but again, when we talk about things like white rights, white advocacy, you understand that there's a phenomenon.
I can't hear you. So
okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So do you understand that there's a phenomena in the United States of white flight? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not familiar with the term, so please explain.
Well, the idea of white flight is that whites are living in an area and then other people of color, typically people of other races, move into that area and the white people move out. The best example would be particularly.
Can I just cut you off real quick? The phenomenon was also called Jewish flight back in the I think 50s for the same reason.
Right,
and areas would be taken over by ethnic minorities.
Sure, and of course, and because Jews prefer Jews like any group.
Orthodox Jews do.
Orthodox Jews do, but Jews, like groups, prefer members of their own kind, right? So essentially, there is a revealed preference on the part of white people that they prefer to live around whites, and when there are not whites, when others move in, when they take over the culture, the schools, the neighborhoods, white people leave, and they leave for greener pastures someplace else. Typically, it's one more exit down the highway, right? Further out from the city center, longer commute, less time spent with kids, etc. A lot of these things. Now, this to me reveals a desire on the part of whites to be amongst themselves in their own neighborhoods, in their own communities with other whites. And this is a desire that cannot be expressed right now in this political environment. Now, you can be mad at me. You can say, whatever. You can say I'm a fraud, I'm a liar, I'm not speaking for whites.
That I will say.
Okay, fine. Fair enough. What I'm saying is this revealed preference of white people that is observable, manifestly observable. We see it. And it's not allowed to be acted on. And the question is, why not? Well, because there are multiple government policies, there's legal advocacy, there's civil rights law, there's all these things which essentially thwart any ability of white people to organize in their own interest. And this is what I'm against. You could say I'm against most white people disagree with me. I'm sure that there's a lot of white people that disagree with me, but I think there's a hell of a lot more that would agree with me. These kinds of ideas have never been put before them. I mean, Ann Coulter, I think, famously said white people would be floored if a politician actually came out and asked for their vote. They would be absolutely floored because it's the one great unmentionable. It's funny. There's kind of this thing.
I'm not sure what you're saying. Can you explain that a little bit? I'm not sure what you mean by
the idea that a politician would advocate I'm not referring to you in any way.
No, I'm saying, I'm just trying to clarify what you're saying because I want to make sure I understand. Are you saying if a politician came out and said, I'm white, vote for me because I'm white, that people would be floored by that?
No, I would say if a politician came out and said, vote for me because you're white.
Okay, that's what I mean. I just want a clarification.
Vote for me because you're white, because every other group does it. Okay, that appeal is made to every other group. If that appeal is made, what's his name? Sessions the other day, he said, I want to preserve our Anglo-American system of justice. Now, the system of justice in the United States is sort of objectively drawn from the Anglo-American, legal tradition. And the fact that he said this, he came under a lot of attack because that's interpreted, that's essentially, a dog whistle. He's saying that he's alluding to the white roots of the United States. And this is like a no-no. This is a political no-no. You're not supposed to do this. So when we have this sort of systemic political correct environment, which I know you're against political correctness, but it seems that you're blind to the issues about it that specifically target and affect white people. In my opinion, what political correctness is the inability for whites to advocate for themselves. And you're saying, now here I am, I'm saying I'm out here, I'm advocating for the rights of white people. I'm tired of white people being unable to organize on their own behalf, speak on their own behalf, and work on their own behalf. And you're just saying, well, you're a fraud, you're a liar, whatever. That's fine. I mean, you can think that. But the fact that white people are still denied these abilities is true. It's still true that white people are destined demographically to be a minority, to dwindle in numbers. And, frankly, when we look at the United States and we see what is one of the factors that has led to where we are now, where legal norms, political norms, the rule of law, a decent society, that these things are all being eroded. And this goes hand in hand with the increasing multiculturalism. Multiculturalism is tied to this breakdown of social cohesion. This is something you want to talk on my show. Like, all I do is scream about Jews. I think you've never actually listened because we talk about this quite a bit. We talk about this quite often, the breakdown in social cohesion that is caused by multiculturalism and multiracialism. This is a serious issue, and the main victims are white because ultimately all these other racial groups, they have another place, they have another home. And you're asking me to privilege some set of abstract rights for like all mankind when I'm saying, no, this set of rights was something that was developed by white people for whites in a white country, and others that come in, take advantage of them, do not respect those rights for white people, attempt to erode the system that I'm not obligated to respect this. I am going to fight for the rights and the preservation of white people. And like the fact that you are saying that this is eventually going to lead to violence with your group, well, okay, that's on you guys then.
No, it's really not, because I'm not going to pick up a gun until you do. But what I'm saying is that you just said advocating for whites. Paul Nehlen was doing a great job of saying, I'm proud to be white, or whatever it was. And he was saying America first and all of that. I know a lot of people that supported him when he was saying things like that. And I actually didn't have much of a problem with him. I dislike Paul Ryan greatly. So I have to admit, I didn't look into him that much, but I thought it would be great if he could unseat Paul Ryan, because Paul Ryan is such a cuck. But then all of a sudden, advocating it's okay to be white, started advocating that Jesus wasn't Jewish, making fun of black people, everything was your halos. And all of a sudden, he's not advocating for whites, he's advocating against everybody who isn't white. And as I said, you're not proposing a solution on how to deal with everyone who isn't white when you're advocating for against them. If you want to advocate for whites, I have said, build your ethno-state. I will be happy to be the first one to cast the vote for you to have it. I would be the first one that if you can get enough like-minded individuals to get together and build your ethno-state wherever you want, and I don't care if it's in New York, Montana, California. I'm not saying it has to be in some isolated shithole that you don't want to actually live in. I'm saying if you can get enough people together to get a strong white state for your white people that you are going to do nothing but blow white people all day because you love them so much, I'm good with that. You can do that all you want. What I hear you advocating for is that someone should give it to you, or that people should get together and that they should somehow say, you're right, Mike is advocating for white people because Mike wants white this, white that. But I just don't see anybody really agreeing with you all that much. And if they're not agreeing with you, then I don't know how you're going to accomplish all of this when the very people you claim to be advocating for would be the most vociferous opponents of your ethno-state. They don't want to live. Yes. Do they want to live in a white neighborhood? Can't imagine why they wouldn't. And as you said, was this founded as a white country? There were plenty of Jews here when the country started. So Chaim Solomon funded the Revolutionary War. They issued a postage stamp for him. There are Jewish signers on the Declaration of Independence. So it's not like they weren't here too. So when you say, I want to deport all the Jews to Israel, I want to deport all the blacks to Africa, most people just disagree with you. And most people think they don't want to live in that country. And that isn't the Constitution that we were founded on, that you claim to love when it's in your interest, but not when it's in the interest of anyone else. So what I'm saying is that if you want to go form your ethno-state, I'll give you the first donation. I'll be happy to sign up for the GoFundMe. Okay, you tell me where you want to go buy your giant plot of land and give it to whites only and keep out all the Jews. I don't want to live there anyway, Mike. I have no interest. None.
All right, so we agree in principle then.
Yep.
Yeah, so it seems that we've settled for we've settled on this stream for a segregation of the U.S.
I mean, but I want to emphasize something though. I want to emphasize something that this what he is proposing, what you're saying is like an attempt to essentially trivialize the interests of whites and say that the only way that the interests of whites can be it's essentially a very Jewish narrative. The only way the interests of whites can be
I am Jewish. You realize that, right?
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay.
Right. And that's why I think that the things that you say are relevant to your identity as a Jew.
Okay.
You know, the only way white people can ever accomplish anything, the way only white people can ever work in their own interest is through some kind of mass violent oppression of others. I don't necessarily
told you to buy land, Mike. That's not violent. I didn't tell you to go take the land with a gun. I told you to go buy it. I told you there are enough white.
Again, I don't see. Again, look.
I didn't interrupt you. I'm saying there are more than enough white billionaires out there that you can convince of the problem of anti-whiteness to fund your white ethno-state, and you don't have to worry one little iota about any
this whole thing of like go do this. I mean, it's like it just seems like all you're trying to do here is sort of say, oh, because your idea is not popular. But I mean, that's just like not really an argument. It's like, okay, I get it. It's not popular.
The Jews did it, and you hate them for it. The Jews did it. When America voted for the foundation of Israel in the United Nations, the next day they slapped an arms embargo on them. They wouldn't allow them to buy weapons anywhere as they were getting invaded by 8 countries. America didn't fund Israel and say, Israel, go do this. Israel took what it needed to take. Israel was there. It was its own country, and it decided to declare its freedom. White people could easily do that right now if they didn't like the way white America was going. I think most of them do like the way white America is going. I happen to think that we're a little off course. I think that we're not adhering to the principles of the Constitution. I think that immigration is a huge problem, one that needs to be addressed. I think the Islamic threat is real. I think that all of these things are real phenomena that could be fought against. But when I see the alt-right, who seem to have been gaining power, it was really actually kind of cool when I saw right after the election, people were actually saying, I'm part of the alt-right. And I mean red-pilled black people, Jews, Hispanics. I knew so many people that were like, I'm alt-right because I don't believe in the GOP establishment or the conservative establishment. And somehow within 1 year, you guys have gone so far off the rails that you've now turned it into the new KKK, where it's all about getting rid of the whites and I mean the Jews and the blacks and everybody else. And now you've trivialized yourself to the point where nobody wants to hear what you have to say. And the word alt-right is the same as saying leper. So I'm just saying you are not only advocating for something I disagree with, you're failing at it. So
I'd like to remind that there is still more than 10 million people easily in the US who are favorable to the ideas of the alt-right, up to 20 million, depending on the issue.
Okay.
Peanut comes with a super chat, $5 Australian. Thank you. He says, hey, ever notice how not many people are advocating for a white state in this world where you will lose your job if you do? Do you recognize, Halsey, that there is an economic pressure against white advocacy in the US?
I believe that if people want to advocate for whatever they want, they should be able to.
Okay, that's not the question.
Let me finish. If somebody is fired for advocating a position that they hold strongly to that is opposed to violence, okay, then I don't believe that they should do anything except walk right out the front door and into a lawyer's office and file a motherfucker of a lawsuit for violating their rights. I don't care what their position is, no matter how vile I find it. Okay, I actually was listening to a stream of yours, JF, where you were saying what Jordan Peterson wouldn't do. And you were talking about how he wouldn't address some guy who asked him a question about a book that he's never read about Jewish influence that he's probably never heard of. And you were saying that you walked away from academia, and he's probably comfortable enough that he didn't want to walk away from academia for whatever reason, even though he could have economically. So he obviously had his own reasons for not wanting to answer it. I don't believe that he did so because he was afraid the Jews would come after him. I believe he likes his life and he likes what he's doing, and he wasn't going to make some hypothetical comment on a book he's never read, on a theory he's probably never even heard of or contemplated all that much.
So what would have happened to
wait, let me finish. Here. But then you said that you did so. You walked away from academia with nothing in your pocket, and look at what you've done. You have a YouTube channel with hundreds of thousands of subscribers with Andy. People listen to you. People find you to be influential. You're an academic for something maybe you didn't study for in college, but to say you're less than an academic now, I think is lunacy. You're obviously an academic. You're just more of an academic for things that you're interested in right now. So I don't believe that it was that Jordan Peterson couldn't say something. I believe it's because he didn't want to. And I think that, but to say that there's an economic barrier to white people being able to say whatever they want, I don't believe that's true. I believe there are some opinions that they can get kicked out for, and I believe they have a legitimate grounds for a lawsuit at that point to claim actual harm.
I mean, that's really nice that you believe that, but the fact is,
the Constitution.
Well, okay, but the fact is that white people that have advocated on behalf of whites have been fired, doxxed, harassed, and they have not been able to get this restitution. So why is that? And if that's the system, why should we be happy with it?
I didn't say anyone should be happy when they lost the lawsuit, Mike. I didn't say that at all.
Then again,
what I said was there are ways. You keep saying if I come out as pro-white, this will happen. And what I'm saying is that, no, it won't automatically happen, that you'll just be penniless in the street eating out of a trash can because you advocated for your supposed pro-white position.
But that's not
what you, and then you say, but some people have lost lawsuits.
Saying there's an economic pressure is not the same as you're setting up straw men. Saying there's an economic pressure.
Straw man. I'm telling you, I literally just said that you have remedies available to you. And you said, but some people have used those remedies and it hasn't been successful. And I said, that happens all the time. It's not the question of whether you're successful or not. There are remedies available to you and choices to be made. You can make a choice. There is not an automatic that if you voice your opinion, you are shamed and thrown out to eat out of a trash can. You are claiming that if you claim white supremacist or whatever it is, advocacy that you want, and someone doesn't like it and they fire you, that there's something wrong with that. When I'm saying if there is something wrong with it, there are ways to address it. And you can easily address it. You sit here and say, people won't let me talk, but I'm letting you talk. And so is the whole internet, because there are plenty of people watching. He just said, what, there's 20 million alt-right people in this country? I mean, I don't think that number is that impressive, but at the same time, 20 million people are listening to you, Mike. They're able to hear you. No one's oppressing your ability to speak. There are private companies that don't want you on their platform because they find you as repulsive as I do. But what I'm saying is that those people are not stopping you from saying. They're telling you there are consequences to what you say, just like there are consequences that if I come in to my workplace and start talking about Jewish supremacy and how us Jews are going to kick out all the that is absolute nonsense. That is absolute nonsense. 100%.
Here's my problem, and my problem with your answer.
I feel like it's totally lacking in nuance.
You started with morals. You started, I'm against it. But my question is a factual one. Do you think that in this country there is undue punishment for white advocates?
No. Right. Unless you're saying white advocates, meaning people like Mike.
People like Mike.
Okay, so you think that
that's what I'm talking about.
You think that people that think like I do should be punished then?
No, I did not say that.
But Mike is effectively getting punished. He got doxxed. He got his private life digged into in illegitimate ways. He got he's now under a lawsuit. Isn't there some undue punishment to Mike?
I did number one.
IDs.
Number one, what I said is that Mike has the right to say whatever he wants. Nobody has the absolute requirement to listen to it. If there is undue influence that is against the law and Mike is a white advocate is being oppressed for that, then I think there are remedies for it. And I think he should literally examine every single one of them and do whatever he finds necessary to push forward his rights. I think that
I'm sorry to have to repeat myself, but you're back to the moral. You're saying if this
you're
happens,
saying what
I'm
you
against
think.
it.
We're talking about an actual system that exists.
Do you think that people like Mike are getting punished for expressing ideas that they should be able to express freely under the First Amendment?
I think that no one's stopping them from expressing them freely under the First Amendment. That's my point.
Do you think that they are getting punished? That's the question. Do you think that they are getting unfairly punished?
This is the round and round circle. This is the circle that goes round and round because you know that there are.
It's not. If they're oppressing you, you have a remedy. A private person and a private business who fires you for advocating your First Amendment rights, there are ways that you can go about getting remedy from those people. I do not believe there is a system of oppression where in the rule book it says, if you think like Mike, we're going to fire you because you have a problem.
This is a straw man.
Back to the straw man.
So what is
a straw man? This is
look, dude. Being punished. You keep saying dude, I'm not addressing it. I do not believe the system is punishing him for what he's saying. I think what he is saying is abhorrent to a lot of people, and it is not incumbent on people to have to listen to something just because he has the right to say it.
That's not the forcing people to listen is not the issue. And nobody actually expects.
But you gave some examples. You said losing jobs, getting doxxed, all of that.
But that's.
I said if someone fired you for using your First Amendment rights, you should sue them. I just said you should sue them if they're doing that. And then your answer was people have sued and lost. Well, people have sued and won. So what I'm saying is that I have said if someone has deprived you of your rights, you should take whatever remedy is necessary to prove them wrong. But you are saying, no, the system is geared against me because I'm a white advocate. And I keep saying you are not a white advocate. What you're saying is abhorrent to most people. They don't want you around. They're free to not have you around saying whatever the hell you want.
All right, are you done?
Yep.
All right. There's many straw men in what you were saying.
Okay, here we go with the straw man again.
Well, it's a valid point because we're not.
Hasn't.
And again, when we talk about,
let's hear Mike on what the straw man is.
Again, you don't like when we talk about the system that that essentially.
I can't hear you. Yeah, I'd like to hear what you have to say. I can't hear.
Is it okay now? Is it all right now?
Yeah.
It's all right now. Better.
Yeah.
Okay. The system that punishes white advocacy. You're essentially trying to get we're not asking your opinion. You say you and I'll commend you. Your opinion is people should be able to say whatever they want without punishment, right? This is not the system that exists. You understand? And when we talk and you set up this straw man that there's some rule book out there, that there's some automatic thing, that there's now just because I managed to make it through what happened to me when I was doxxed. There's a lot of people that haven't. There's some states, there's different laws. There's different labor and employment laws. Some states you can have a cause of action against an employer if they sued you for no other reason than legal speech you engaged in outside of the office. Some states you have no such right. Okay, so there's already this issue right now. Your continued assertion that you have some belief in this right, but then also then you go back on it because you're saying no one has the right, no one is required to, people aren't asking people to listen. What they're saying is my public advocacy should not affect my employment. So I never once, I have to be very careful what I say here because again, you almost have me at a disadvantage when you attack my private life because
you're breaking up again.
I mean, when you attack my private life, it actually is really underhanded because I am under multiple NDAs. I can't talk about so much stuff because of lawsuits and legal actions that I have been a party to that just basically blatantly refute what you are saying about how this system works. I have been through this. Okay. And essentially, the fact of the matter is that people that come out with pro-white views, and one of the things I've asked is there a way that somebody can be pro-white without this label being attached to them that then stigmatizes them, makes them a pariah, and casts them out of society? And your whole assertion that nobody wants to listen, if that were true, then nobody would be listening. There is a price, and as we see with this lawsuit against me, they are trying to impose costs on those that listen, not just those that speak. You know, there are many people. It can't just always be me who had a platform and a radio show that I was able to fall back on. There's guys that don't have that. They want to say something, or they gets found out that they're involved in activism. They get fired. They get doxxed. They get harassed. Now, it's not even just the employers will fire them. There is a violent group of left-wing agitators that will attack them, that will harass their families, that will attack them at their homes, that will follow them around. I mean, the idea that you are, and this all together is a system. A system is not just simply the government, okay? There is a whole system. Part of what is going on is multiple different groups and actors that are working around the Schelling point. Do you understand the concept of a Schelling point? The concept of a Schelling point is like, it's like a common point around which individuals act without necessarily having been organized beforehand. So pro-white speech, pro-white activism is a Schelling point that multiple groups in society converge around to suppress it. Corporate power does it. Then you have like left-wing protesters. You have a number of different groups that act together in a system of intimidation, harassment, deplatforming, and economic threats that make people feel very intimidated about expressing these ideas. And for you to deny that because, potentially you might have a legal remedy, it's just denying the problem.
That's not just what I said.
And then we point out that out. You say, well, I'm not against it. I mean, it's like, I don't really care what you're for or against. The point is what
I'm saying, Mike, is
and the fact that we are against this and we are organizing and acting against it because it's attacking us. It's not in our interest. It's not healthy for us. We shouldn't have to put up with it, and we won't.
What
and
I'm saying,
you're
Mike,
saying like everyone hates you because of it. Okay, whatever.
What I'm saying, Mike, is that's nice. What I'm saying, Mike, is that you are sitting here saying I am a white advocate and I'm just advocating for whiteness.
See, and here we go again. You're going to say you're not really a white advocate. Fine, you've registered that opinion, dude. Opinion noted.
I got you. Hey, I love how you're interrupting me. I didn't interrupt you.
You interrupted me this whole time.
And I'm saying, Mike, you have a daily show. Okay, that isn't pro-white. It's anti-Jewish. So you're sitting here saying I'm pro-white, but what you're advocating for is anti-Jewish. You can somehow go in the abstract of saying by going against the Jews, I'm going for the whites. Paul Nehlen had no problem when he was doing pro-white advocacy. He only had a problem when he started going after Jews and after black people. That's when all of a sudden he started getting censored.
They went after him.
He ran for Congress, Mike. He actually got votes.
Yeah.
I know. And
then when he started being openly pro-white on Twitter, Jews went after him.
No, he started being anti-Jew. That's what he started doing. He wasn't advocating for
reversing the causality. He saw what happened to him when he came out as openly pro-white.
When
he saw what happened to him, and he saw who it was that came after him. And he started criticizing them,
saying Jews weren't actually Jews; they were Russians called Khazars, and that Jesus wasn't actually a Jew and stuff like this.
I'm familiar. I'm familiar with like that stuff. He did do that.
I'm literally not making this up. That is the first post he came out was you should read this
first.
The rest of the thread. That was the first anti-Jewish post that he came out with.
I mean, what is or is not anti-Jewish would be subjective. I mean, I noticed that he started to possibly get himself in hot water when he got involved in a debate with this guy named Ari Cohn, who is head of something called FIRE, which is interestingly a free speech organization, was one of the first to attack him as a so-called white supremacist when he hadn't said any white supremacist stuff. He was saying, here's how this works. And I think to pretend that this doesn't work like this or that you don't see this is either you're blind or you're just not, you're not acknowledging what's going on. He comes out and he's like, white people, the immigration policy is not working for us. The policies, various policies are not working for white people, immigration being the most obvious one. Demographically, we're in decline. He's also a very strong Christian, so he advocated for Christian values, etc. He's allowed to do all of that. And then he notices who's coming after him. And I saw this guy, Ari Cohn, go after him. And
I'm just not familiar with what you're talking about. I'm just not familiar with. I didn't see that.
Well, this is what I saw. I mean, you're telling me you saw him talk about. Now, I'll just say this for the record. So I don't believe in the Khazar theory. I think it's kind of crackpot stuff. It's not my thing. I don't promote like what I see as kind of crackpot genetic theories. I get that some people believe it. I think it's a big mistake, and I wouldn't put that out there as something I advocate for. So if Nealon said that, then I think he made a mistake. But I don't think that that's like something that he should be forever banished from the earth for saying. You know, I would, if I ever could talk to him, I would say, you know, I disagree with you here, Paul. I don't think this is an accurate reflection of the genetic origins of the Jewish people or whatever. But you know, Nealon noticed who was coming after him when he started being a white advocate. That's what I saw. And I follow him very closely. I followed his career very closely because I saw the signs in Paul Nealon of somebody who was growing aware of the problem of white demographics in the United States. And sure enough, wow, as soon as he grew aware of that, what happens? Who comes after him? And look, I don't think he necessarily responded to this in the wisest way. But the fact of the matter is that he was responding to being attacked in an organized fashion by Jews for coming out as a white advocate. That's what happened.
I agree with you to an extent. And as I said, I followed it pretty closely from that article on. Okay.
Well, there was stuff that probably happened before that.
Well, as I said, this debate, I know nothing about it. All I know is that when people would ask me what I thought of Paul Nealon, I would say, I hope he takes out Paul Ryan, because I'm not a fan. So I didn't know that much about him before. Then I noticed a thread that literally said, let's start here. And he starts with the Khazar theory. And then he started with, then he pointed out Jewish influence. And then he got suspended from Twitter for telling a Jew to eat a bullet. So yes, that was pretty stupid. What I'm saying is then he came back on, but made it about another week, and he went after this stupid cheddar theory by making jokes about black people. And he got booted off Twitter, which he basically knew was going to happen. I mean, come on now. Is there anyone that doesn't know that if you make fun of black people, you get kicked off Twitter? It's just kind of a thing. I've been kicked off Twitter 3 times.
For making fun of black people?
No.
Then why'd you get kicked off?
Twice for making fun of Islamic people, and once for making fun of someone who was saying that Scalise deserved to be shot.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I went after, there was a prosecutor from Louisiana who said, let's remember what a piece of shit this guy was before we start praying for him. I used some words that I probably shouldn't have when I went after her, and they banned me. Then okay, go ahead.
I mean, I'm happy for you to use whatever words to talk about that person that you want. If someone thinks Steve Scalise should have been shot, then I don't know. See, again, this is my thing. If someone's openly saying, "Oh, this guy should maybe been shot," I don't really feel like you're entitled to my niceness here. You know.
So, guys, it was an amazing discussion. We're gonna get to concluding statements. Mike, I saw you were drinking something brown. Is that iced tea from America?
This is a Bloody Mary, my favorite drink.
Number
one drink for the all.
Oh. I can't believe we actually agree on something.
Oh, we've agreed on so much in the end.
No, I'm saying
I
drink Bloody Marys. Like, when I don't drink very often, but when I do, I tend to drink Bloody Marys. So.
Nice. All right, so we're going to go for concluding statements, starting with Mike.
Yeah, all right. I just think that this discussion was interesting at points, also very frustrating, and I think that in several instances, rather than kind of once we establish that we disagree, that Halsey kind of did not want to talk about the facts of the situation that white people are up against. Either he didn't know about it, or, oh, I'm sort of abstractly against that, or I don't see that, or there's a remedy that isn't a realistic remedy. Like if a minimum wage kid has really no kind of remedy if he just gets fired. Working class minimum wage kid early in his life, he comes out, he's alt-right, he's pro-white, now he's done. I mean, this has happened multiple times. I know people that this has happened to. And what the alt-right is doing is saying white people are a coherent group of people. We can see this in how white people self-organize along, racial lines, given the choice. The choice is being systematically removed from them. And in fact, they face harsh penalties if they even try to do it. This is an intolerable situation. We speak up against this situation. Many people have become extremely angry at Jews because they see that when they start to do this, when they start to act and speak in their own interests, who is coming after them? Very wealthy and very powerful Jews that have power in the legal world, that have power in the media world, in the academic world, in the political world. When you speak against war, when I was very active in the anti-war movement, who was it that was attacking us? It was very wealthy and powerful Jews that were pro-Zionist. I believe that Jews are a very wealthy, powerful group acting together in a coherent interest that is not my interest, and they have taken up many seats of power and influence in my society. It's not that like every single powerful person is a Jew, but there is a lot of them. They work together. And to deny this, I think, is actually more conspiratorial than to grant it. It is more absurd to say that these people are just not working together. They're not self-interested. They're not ethnically interested. That is more of a sort of an absurd thing to say than what I'm saying. I think this is a malign influence on my society. I have a right to speak against it. I have a right to act against it. And if these people are actively using these powers to deny my rights, I'm in no way obligated to extend such rights to them in theory. Right now, all I can do is activism. All I can do is raise my voice, try to win other white people over to my cause. Other white people don't like you or they don't agree with you. Okay, I'm well aware. That's the mountain I have to climb. That's the hurdle I have to face. But also, it's pretty freaking underhanded to come and say all this stuff about my past. Like, everyone knows about my past. It's well known. My fans don't care. They understand. People that I have talked to this about it. I mean, I don't even want to talk about it. It was really underhanded and kind of dirty for you to do that. I think it made you look really bad. But whatever. The major point here is Jewish power is real. Jewish power is a negative influence. It is a negative influence on whites in the United States. It's a negative influence on whites in Europe. And I don't feel that I have to justify to a Jew, Halsey, the fact that I'm going to go out and do advocacy on behalf of whites. And if Jews are going to fight me, then that's their problem. They're the ones that are doing something wrong by getting in my way of advocating for myself and my people.
All right, Halsey.
I think what Mike said was he started out down the right path and then he went to the ridiculous as he normally does. But number one, I told you I don't believe that his background is off the table because he finds some offense to it and that he thinks it's dirty. That's just too bad. And secondly, I think that the alt-right had the ability to organize in a way that was pro-American, that was not focused on race. They had momentum. They had the ability to recruit. They had the ability to take people and advocate for policies that would be good for Americans. I think Mike has more in common with a red-pilled black than he does with a Antifa white. But he would advocate for white power as opposed to right-wing power. And I think that that's a big mistake. I think that Mike has a microphone, and I think that he's using it in a way that's detrimental to our movement. It's detrimental to our country. And I think that my job, as I've said from the beginning, is to expose what he thinks, because I want people to hear what he thinks. I want him to have a louder microphone, because I think that when he does, he makes my job of proving that we have problems in this country even more real.
All right. Well, to both of you, thank you so much. This was an awesome, intense, and very fruitful discussion.
Epic.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
A lot of fun. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye, Halsey. Bye-bye, Mike.
Peace out. Damn. That was epic.
Oh la la.
That was epic. Jesus. Wow. We didn't have to even really do anything. We just...
Oh, yeah. There was nothing we could do. These guys, I mean, they talked over each other just slightly, just a few minutes, but the overall thing was very good, and they were both high-level orators.
Yeah, definitely. Both of them were good at challenging each other. There was some circles they went in at certain points, but still very
entertaining. You have to leave these circles happen as potentially part of a strategy. I mean, that's why I always respect, even if you can say in the end it's dishonest to argue like this, sometimes being dishonest is part of the strategy, and you have to let it happen in blood sports.
Yep, definitely. I hope the audience there enjoyed. It seemed that they did in the chat. Looked like everyone was rah-rahing for their team. And and thanks for all the support during that show. Very hard to interject with anything, super chats or anything. We did
the big ones, the two big $200.
Valentine's Day Massacre. Jesus, I like how he made that background too. He went all out, eh?
Oh yeah, this guy is devoted.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, so are we reading super chats tonight?
Yes, we are. Let's try and pound through these. Joachim Hawk, $5. Mike, I'm sorry for doubting you after the docs. You're a great guy for fighting a good fight. Thank you for everything you do. Hail victory, brother. Cole Marshall, $5. This honestly scares the shit out of me. To me, it's an overstep of my rights. How do I support you guys? And that was in reference to the lawsuit that's happening. Vinny S, $10. State of matter found between liquid and plasma, those of echoing names. Danny New Edge 02, $2. NBA hashtag NBA so black. Icola's $20. Thanks for setting this up, Andy. Enoch's court case is chilling. Whether you agree or not with his extreme views, you need to spread the word about how horrifying this lawfare on free speech is. Truth Demon, $2. I stand with Mike on this. Hashtag unite the rights. Evan Lacey, $2. JF, thoughts on libertarian to alt-right pipeline?
Yeah, just ask me on my stream. I will go in detail about this, but it's a long question.
All right, perfect. A Joachim Hawk, $2. Vape Zyklon all day, every day. Spoiler alert, $5. Mike should figure out how to cut his responses in half. Sly Marbo, 1488. Gas the oh my god, the ADL speak for now. Chica, £2. Halsey. Okay, thanks for that. ACR send $2. You're not allowed to coerce me, Halsey. Secret Genius, $5. Fat Destiny just stepped on a landmine. The Red Elephants, $5. Survivors of the are unanimous about the USS Liberty. All of them say it was 100% intentional, took place for hours, and Israel knew it was an American ship. FJ Cthulhu, $10. Halsey Harvey Weinstein English. Howie Felterpuss, $2. Get Ken O'Keefe to talk about the Greater Israel Plan. The Ranged Martial Artist, $5. Authoritarianism is inherently a Jewish concept. Vinny S, $5. Frame Game Radio is an alt-right Jew, and he talks about the JQ all the time. Bringing attention to the JQ is not anti-Semitic in itself. ASR Sen, $5. Jews aren't entitled to white people. If you're in your own country, we can't suppress each other's speech. Problem solved. Chica, £5. Never trust anyone who won't show their eyes during a discussion. The nose knows. Kumite Pinochet, $2. Jews rock. Sam Hyde School of Frankfurt, go. The New Center, $5. The way to stop lobby influence is reduce the power of government. Sly Marbo, 1488. He's asking if we have a final solution / our Jew.
That's what I tried to bring as a question. I was like, so you're pushing it to a final solution.
Yeah. Ryan, $5. So typical. I bet Halsey got rhinoplasty for his sweet 16. You want to read on for a little bit?
Yeah, so where are we at? ASR Sen, $5 US. Then I've rights in a Jewish country, not a white one. Garm 93, 50 euros. Thank you so much. Talk about most Jews in positions of power having double citizenships. This one we read during the conversation. Fash the Stampede, $2 US. Mike Enoch is a champ. Tiger X85, $2 Canadian. I hate juice. Well, stop drinking it. Secret Genius, $10 US. We don't need to offer a solution to point out a J problem. Sunlight is the best disinfectant anyway. Phantom Groper, $2 US. Reminder that wearing shades indoors is degenerate. Sully Snacks, $5 US. The cards are too stacked against us. Next logical method of change is to become the authority or resort to violence to physically remove them. The Saturn Dingo, $30 US. How do you defend yourself against an attacker without using violence? The answer is the rules are out the window when they're not playing by them. Buy free Canadian pharmaceuticals, $5 US. Go through systems. Jews own to be Jews. What a joke. I'm not sure what he meant. Beepis Conke, $2 US. Alze smells. Okay, I will not read. Geek, $10 US. It's not free speech if you have to pay a lawyer to defend you every time you try to use it. Dayton, 1488 Canadian. Fighting Jews financially is not viable as Jews use their influence to remove the ability to make money. They take away PayPal, stop crowdfunding, and credit cards. All we have is mail and Bitcoin. Space Reptile, $5 US. Mike Enoch is a golem. He has Jewish masters. I'm not sure about that. Secret Genius, $5 US. The majority disagree that the Jewish lobby harms Jews too. Pilpul. Powder Keg, $10 US. Halsey is convoluting common sense. All of the sunglasses and ball caps in the world can't hide his nature once he starts spooing Pilpul. Aldorson, $5 US. A Big Mick for Big Mike. Slime Marble, $5 US. How come the law changed around the amount of media you could own, allowing consolidation?
Here, I'll read on from there.
Yeah.
White Socialist 20 DKK. This lying bagel needs his mouth stuffed. Okay, Jesus Christ, guys. Chris Cobb, $2. Let Mike talk. LM, $2. Damn, Mike is getting owned. This is sad. Shabo Shekels, $2. Gradually, I began to hate them. Sully Snacks, $5. What Halsey is saying is important and totally right. We need action, not just talk. Yet, yes, support is gained through talk, but we're running out of time. Caesar did nothing wrong. $10. This is for Enoch. Evan Gaspel. And this Halsey Snake. Jesus. Ryan Armstrong, $2. God forbid that Mike loved his wife. Steal yourself, $5. Yes, Goy, appease us legitimately as we pump Americans with politicized entertainment and mass media and wield the largest, wealthiest political lobby. Otis Jackson Jr., $2. Andy and JF, listen to my mixtape. You're both on it. All right. Pure Demon, $5. Stop talking and have a vape off competition. FJ Cthulhu, $10. Halsey Weinstein exposed himself again. Take out the trash, Mike. Sam Woods, £5. Does Halsey believe Jews' history of being expelled from countries is related to their predisposition to radical leftism / revolution in host countries? Sly and Marble, $5. So Enoch was losing, so Halsey went out of his way to make himself look bad. Caesar did nothing wrong. $20. About you start by taking off the tacky sunglasses if you want to expose yourself. Kolos, $10. Jesus Christ, all Halsey does is talk in a long-winded rant with straw men and personal attacks when Mike tries to talk. Don't interrupt me, Mike. Taytan, $5. Hashtag free Monica Schaefer, FYI, she's elderly Canadian woman that the German government seized for lawful speech she made in Canada. Thomas, $5. KK Knievel once attempted to jump over Jesus, he failed miserably. Wheatfields, $2. I'm not going to say that. Finn Burris, 777, $5. Please referee this conversation back and forth instead of letting them scream. 131. Yeah, it's a huge number there. Thank you very much. $2. USS Liberty now. Striker Quiet, $5. I question the allegiance of any dual citizen. They can easily run away with things when things get bad because this place is not home for them. This is my home. Vinny S, $50. JF, can a libertarian society that increases individuals' liberties be achieved by democratic means, or is the nature of the state to increase its power over people in a democratic society?
Yeah, I believe the answer is no. Democracy beats liberty with time, and the liberty actually advances when you reform societies and when you make revolutions.
And thank you for that huge donation, Vinny. Appreciate that. Big boy, $5. Halsey, why are you wearing sunglasses? $10. Typical two-motor tactics from Halsey. Smear merchant with no substance. Diamond News, $2. Please referee the debate. All Halsey does is yell over. Sponge, €5. Can we talk about the USS Liberty? Queen of Bands, $5. Halsey, if Jews have loyalty to America, why do we give billions to a first world country when we are suffering in the US? Governor Wallace, $20. There's nothing lower than attacking a man personally over his failed marriage. It is an intensely emotional and painful experience. And knowing this, Halsey used it for psychological warfare. How stereotypical. Chinchika, £2. Gradually to hate them. Christoph, $2. Press. Yep. Nicholas, $50. Ask Halsey and Enoch their opinions on whether or not the Holocaust happened. Yeah, we'll probably avoid that for a little bit. But thank you for that huge donation. Aval Liberty, $5. if it won't get JF and Andy in trouble, can you guys talk about the Holocaust? Also, did someone remember? Okay, Vinny S, $10. Danny Dannon, Jewish Australian MP, said bring Israel's African immigrants to Australia. Xander Wilson, $2. Why are his ideas so bad? JB Summer, 75, $5. Why is the next step always genocide? Ikelos, $10. Talk about the APAC and the law that says you can't advocate for boycotting Israel. If American Jews don't care about Israel, why do they donate so much money to get laws like that passed? Chikia, £2. 109 countries can't be wrong. Howie Felterpuss, $2. Ask the Greater Israel Plan about the Greater Israel Plan. Orchard, $20. Thank you very much. Tired of shit posting on the internet? Join yourself a Reliance Discord, share and improve your skills, form communities, and discuss how to be productive and persuade European tradition and values. There's the link for you. Otis Jackson Jr., $2. Numbers were fabricated. Mr. Panda Bear, $5. As a member of the movement, it's unfortunate but true. The alt-right lacks substance. They only have rhetoric. Sorry. Otis Jackson Jr., $2. Jewish terrorism drove Arabs since the 1920s. Andrew M, $5. Press kid, kick all the Jews back to Israel. Secret Genius, $20. Frame Game Radio is a Jewish alt-writer who agrees that Jews are harming white people. I mentioned him so that we don't walk away from this conversation assuming that all Jews are as evil as a Halsey. New Age Culture, $5. Mike, would you kick out a Puerto Rican and Filipino even if they were born here? Say third generation American born? Strung Up, $5. Israel has put a $9,000 bounty for removing illegal immigrants. Herpaderp 1776, $10. Israel already exists, so asking Halsey to justify its existence is basically like asking why it shouldn't be destroyed. Your ethno-state does not, so asking why it should exist is not the same. Xander Wilson, $2. Do whites have a right to their own nation? Otis Jackson Jr., $2. Hannigan, Ergun, and Stern Gang. I don't know if lick today. Don't know what that means. You want to read on for a little bit? I've been pounding water back.
All right. So concept up, $5 US. The Jewish question is the alt-right's version of the left's patriarchy and white privilege. Red pill pattern, Braskerod, 100 knock. There is a thought and behavior pattern that we can see within some Jewish circles, and that is open borders and take control of the media within a nation. BT2, $5 US. If you are going to talk about Israel, invite Ryan Dawson. He talks a bit too much about Israel and Palestine. Well, we have invited him and we will have him on soon. Joshua Manan, $5 US. The right of return only applies to Israel and Jews. Me being half German, half Scandinavian, I do not have a right to return to these nations. The Ranged Martial Artist, $10 US. Mike, ask about the Balfour Declaration. The Zionist Conference offered to use their political clout to get America involved in World War I in exchange for the British handing over Palestine to them. Otis Jackson Jr., $2 Canadian. Thank you for your donation. Stacy Garvey, we read your very funny super chat and it led to a great moment in the stream. Seek and Destroy, $20 US. Get Halsey to explain why Jews have been kicked out of over 100 countries. Andrew M., $2 US. Left-wing power, parentheses. Thomas Rambo, $10 US. Ask Halsey how he feels about the Patriot disaster of the King David Hotel bombing and how the endless Hirgun and Stern attacks coincide with his narrative the Jews came peacefully buying up the land. I agree. I think that I didn't push him on it, but clearly he denied some historical events that are true. There was violence against the Palestinian people. There still is. Range 3341, $2 US. Is it me or is this guy being a real Jew? Dev James, 25, $5 US. Jews bought the land from Arab landowners legally, but Arabs started a war with them after telling Palestinians to leave. Halsey is right here. Hey man, nice shot, $5 US. Can you scroll, Andy? So that's just like your opinion, man. Literally Hitler, $5 US. Rituals, child sacrifice, got Jews expelled from over 100 countries. Ask Halsey about that. Andrew M, $2 US. Whenever Halsey gets BTFO, he attacks Mike's past. Trashman, $5 US. Halsey, how do you feel about the Holocaust or the masturbation machines at Auschwitz? Those Gentiles were so mean against the Jews that didn't do nothing. Bugs, $5 US. I remember when Rand Paul didn't clap hard enough for Bibi. Tuesday Money, $5 US. Halsey is 100% correct. Enoch, learn some history. You sound like a damn fool. Uberry is $2 US. Press 6 million if you're G, I don't know. A screw loose, $5 US. Halsey, do you dislike Ford? And if so, why? Governor Wallace, $10 US. Attacking a man over the disintegration of his marriage on Valentine's Day. Sean Taylor, to NZ. JF, can you please explain per capita to this tard?
Yeah, I'll read on a little bit. We got Das Juden, 1488, Hell Mikey, Colin Morse, $10. Why can't an ethno state form like a white genocide, no mass action, just more leaving than entering? Queen of Bands, $2. Thumb up the video. Yeah, do it if you enjoyed the debate there. LM, $5. Never Trump was almost all right wing. Jews so boiling it down to left-wing problems is a lie and a simplistic way to look at the problem. Uberry's $10. Okay, Halsey really sounds like he's reading Fed answers. Sorry, I just gotta say it. Bugs, $5. God forbid a guy gets married and then gets red listed years later. $20 from Gabriel. What's up, man? Thank you very much for that donation, and thank you again, Stacy Garvey, for the huge donation. Really appreciate that. You help support the show. And we read that already. Brunhilda, $5. Since Halsey's father was a settler and a settler American and his mother was Jewish, why does he prefer to be Jewish? We have alt-writers who are part Jewish. Otex, $5. Thank you, Wolski. Luis Carrillo, $10. Mike is right when it comes with the overrepresentation of Jewish businessmen in the financial and entertainment industries, and they do have political influence. Sully Snacks, $5. Anti-Semitism is a meme at Enoch. Alt-right will never take off with current views. Nothing will get done. Join this chat, and there's the link for that chat right there. Wake up, humor, whatever, Ormans. $2. Expose Jewish influence. Watch the Century of Self. Ryan M, $14. Shekels for the Blood Gods. Thanks for getting Mike on. LM, $5. Why would world wars start because whites want their own country? It's like there's some group that doesn't want that. Kind of weird. SJ, $10. Jews have a high IQ and consequently hold more positions of power. Blacks dominate the NBA, but it's not a conspiracy. Collective ethnicities excel at different things. The alt-right hurts itself with its JQ obsession. John Vance, $2. You don't deserve an ethno state, goy. Stir quiet, $5. Andy Worski, I never got a reply email from you, a confirmation on Twitter about being on the show. Yeah, sorry, dude. So much things going on. I'll tell Chris to look out for you. Sorry about that, man. Watcha Man, $10. The value of the alt-right is to push the Overton window so far right that the center moves right and creates a discussion around demographics and whites giving up their countries to other cultures. Andrew M, $5. Why do people always say the alt-right should start an all-white town? America is full of white-ruled towns, and they are being destroyed. And Andrew M throws another $2. Also, a whites-only policy for a town is illegal. King Kalma, $5. Press 1 if you believe Enoch is advocating for whites. Uberries, $5. My theory is Halsey is reading Fed answers too fast for multiple agents, and it's costing him inconsistency. Alternatively, he could be just crazy. The Vicious, $5. If this chat were the poll on who has more support, it would be Mike. So again, Halsey is lying. Sean Taylor, 5 New Zealand dollars. White people who buy into this anti-white shit have been influenced by the Jewish media. Range 3341, $10. So if he agrees that this is all really happening and the detriment of white people is real, then doesn't that mean white people will eventually see what's happening and be forced to agree with Mike? Superman Clark Kent, $5. To be fair, Scott has addressed Mike's end goal by giving historical examples of why it always causes international problems. Homer Simpson, $10. So is the World Jewish Congress a figment of Mike's imagination? Why does YouTube feel the need to get the ADL to help them censor people? Why is the Fed always run by a Jew? Black D Dragon, €5. I bet that Andy's eating pizza with meat flaps. Ugh, off camera right now, or he's masturbating. Yeah, I was masturbating the whole debate. Sorry about that. Taser Swift, $10. Who exactly does Halsey think he's speaking on behalf of? Is it everyone that is not white? Furby Oats won, $5. Halsey is doing a really good job on the debate stage. He got Mike off balance. Do you want to read on a little bit?
Yep. So where were we? We are at Garrett Green, $10. I grant the anti-white narrative, though I don't blame Jews, but I'm opposed to the idea of collective interest for any race whatsoever. Who needs spaces exclusive to any race? Garm93, €100. Thank you so much, dude. Halsey is eager to fight and stand his ground against us Nazis. When SHT is Kohanian overlords will long have left for greener pastures, as they always do. They never fight in the struggles that they themselves bring about. He is nothing more than future cannon fodder. Stacy Garvey, $10 US. Ask Halsey why Jews are so disproportionately overrepresented among pornographers. Striker Quiet, $5 US. Imagine my shock. I'm Jewish, I'm white, I'm Jewish again, which means I'm not white, and now I'm a bastard, and that makes me white again. Absurded Red Light, $5 US. Thank you for your donation. LM, $5 US. I don't know what white flight is. 2 seconds later, actually, it was called Jewish flight. Halsey. G-Man, 12-12-3, $10 US. He spoke about how he wants Mike exposed. Well, the only person he exposed is himself. He openly said he would kick the Palestinians out of Israel if he could. What an hypocrite. Range 3341, $5 US. Absolute gold, and a guy super chatted who said race doesn't matter and doesn't see the point. You have a lot to learn. Concept Hot, $10 US. If we kick out the Jews from media and finance positions of control, who will the new group take control of the media and finance that we will have to kick out next? Straight white man, atheist. Absurd Red Light, $5 US. If Hensley thinks race doesn't matter, then he should move to an all-black neighborhood. Truth Demon, $5 US. Why would Jews want the West plunged into multicultural chaos that would surely destroy it in a civil war? If the West dies, Israel dies with it. Garrett Green, $10 US. White flight could just be about crime rates and so forth, not minorities as such. The Anglo-American legal tradition has little to do with race. Their principles are universal and apply to all. Fashy Cash, $5 US. Why does it seem so many people that oppose white forming an ethno-state are usually people just scared that they won't be allowed in? You can scroll.
Here, I'll read a little bit. Sort of quiet, $5. Halsey, yes, we took your country and filled it with people who hate you. Now you may leave without permission per a perverse democratic process. Taser Swift, $5. Paul Nealon's "It's okay to be white" was good until he noticed who the people who don't think it's okay to be right were. Halsey, 2018. Anthony Russell, €2. Thought on the abortion of Down syndrome fetus? That's a whole other fucking show.
I've actually made a tweet about this, but we could make a show about some questions relating to this.
Yeah, definitely set that up. Peanut, 5 American or Australian, sorry. Hey, ever notice how not many people are advocating for a white state in this world where you will lose your job if you do? Abhorrence. Yep, $5. Halsey, if you want him to explain, stop interrupting him. Gabriel Laporte through $10. Thank you very much. Andrew M, $5. Why should we have only New York or Montana? Whites built the entire country and deserve it all. Gareth Green, $20. The Anglo-American tradition is based on the rights of individuals over and against the interest of any collective group. White nationalism and multiculturalism are just different forms of collectivism. Jesus. Hashtag individualism. LM, $5. In Halsey's world, everyone has unlimited lawyer money to sue people when your rights are violated. That's what freedom is, apparently. J-Man 12123, $2. Name the Jews that signed the Declaration. Nope. Homer Simpson, $2. Salute JF. Andy, what's up, Basta? Nothing much, dude. Totally not troll, 10 PLN. No, but yes, every time. Kev Oss, $2. Tabernac de Osti de Calais de Chris. JF is king. I fucked that up.
In French.
Yeah. Bill Raffi, $5. How are Mike's ideas abhorrent when the Jewish guy supports kicking every single Arab out of Israel? Totally not troll, 25 PLN. No, but yes, every time. Vornado, CRV, $10. Alt-right ideas have been around since 2008, 2010, and already 10% of the population agrees with the ideas or supports the alt-right. That's around 30 million people of the population and growing rapidly. Pizzagate is real, 504, $2. This is getting great. Don't end this stream. No, it did that thing. Oh no.
You mean that thing where we get more super chats?
Yeah. Wait, scrolls. Secret Genius, $10. This is Halsey's most obvious trick. Mike's already said that white people have a cloud over them because of the media and dislike his ideas at the moment. Halsey brings it up purely to slime Mike. Wes, $2. I'm in for the ethno state, but Halsey is winning this. Gareth Green, $5. Mike is right about political correctness. Scott is right about racial collectivism. James, $5. Boomers are the worst generation ever. Garm, 93, €5. Halsey is pulling a Sargon here. He's just slightly more eloquent than the soy father, though equally as obnoxious. Nicholas Inu, $10. Greg Johnson was recently doxxed. Really? Damn. And is being stalked and harassed by left-wing terrorists for his pro-white advocacy. Please support his pro-white publishing house at countercurrents.com. That's brutal. Range 3341, $5. Not saying Mike is winning, but Halsey has said nothing this whole stream, 0 points. But his only honest point is that he doesn't care about white people. Benny, 1987, 20 DKK. And he put any pizzas into the oven recently? Jesus Christ. Gareth Green, $5. Legal representation should be available free of charge to all citizens. He throws another $5 to say Jews may be working together, but I believe they do operate on a moral basis. Stacey Garvey throws $50. Jesus. Thousands of people love, respect, and admire Mike Enoch. I'm grateful. He is our advocate. Halsey is a piece of shit who doesn't speak for white people. Range 3341, $5. Jews obviously financially support one side and hate the other, both here and in Europe. It's odd not a lot of people know about South Africa either. A gesture through $1. Thank you very much. Gareth Green, $5. Homogeneous societies are static, boring, and backward. Range 3341, $5. This isn't about Hitler's ideas, not even close. Ideals rather. It's about survival and our future families. Gareth Green, $5. Do you have any idea the difference between Scandinavians and Italians, both white? Gareth Green, $5. The projects are homogeneous. That's part of their problem. Thank you for all those donations, Gareth. You want to read on a little bit?
All right, and we are to Garrett LM, $2 US. Mike's performance improved with alcohol. Phantom Groper, $2 US. More like Valentine's Day Holocaust. Superman Clark Kent, $2 US. Sing the chorus to Take on Me by Haha. Totally Not Troll, 10 PLM. I prefer my static, boring, and backward ethno-state. Garrett Green, $5 US. European culture is superior to African culture precisely because it is far more individualistic. Gabriel Laporte, $2 US. JF say oh la la again. Oh la la. Anarcho Architect, $2 US. Get Ryan Dawson on to debate Israel. He's coming. Francisco Agudo, $2 US. And any CRP bots in the chat? Hashtag sponsored by CRP. I don't know that it's the case. Amute, $14.88 US. Thank you for your donation. Garrett Green, $5 US. The Christian Church has always thought that Christians are ultimately citizens of the New Jerusalem and only travelers through earthly nations. The Crypto Report, $2 US. Modic, totally not troll, 10 PLN. Garrett Green, yeah, in heaven. Dave on duty, $2 Canadian. Open borders for Israel. Dr. McGinley did nothing wrong, $2 US. Zyklon B, the B is for blah, blah, blah. Queen Benz, $2 US. Keep guest over for chat, Q&A, please. It would be very long if we kept the guest for Q&A. Drinsky Venediktov, $2 US. Richard Spencer on Baked Alaska stream, RN. Dr. Mengele did nothing wrong, $2 US. Kentwell versus Halsey. Sam Hyde was in Florida today. The Bastard, $2 US. Frame Game versus Halsey. Jew on Jew. Drinsky Venediktov, $5 US. Laura Loomer, this is for the stream watching bingo. Is that the end?
We have two more. Dr. Mangle did nothing wrong. $2. Cantwell versus Loomer. Seriously, can't get Cantwell. Triple ice cream, $5. When are you cocks going to get Review Bra on? Not sure who that is, but we'll try. Hopefully.
All right, Andy. I have to go take care of my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Everyone, go see your partners and stuff. And go smash and have some fun. Love you all. We'll see you all.
Bye-bye.
Peace.